Sky Genie Entertainment presents the following. You are listening to the Sky Genie Show, episode 50. Hit the music! The following may not be suitable for children under the age of 18. It contains coarse language, sexual references, views, and personal opinions. The characters on this show are fictional and made for fun, not harm. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Sky Genie Show. We're on episode 50 of the Sky Genie Show. Special show, ass-licking toadstool because it's live. I fucked that up rolling. Joining me on the Sky Genie Show is Johnny Florida, Papa Dave, and Yuck Nasty.
Hi.
How you going, boys?
What's up,
Papa
beautifuls?
I'm having fun myself over here, and, you know, my balls are clearly on fire.
You got the itch?
Well,
gotta get
more
the
than an
green-
inch at this point. I think I need to dump them into a pile of ice in Greenland so they can calm down.
I can't wait to watch this pay-per-view.
Well, it already
So,
happened, so...
Yeah, it's already done.
I know.
So, Papa Dave, how you going?
I'm going forward, man. Thanks very much. How are you?
I'll be completely honest, I have no freaking idea on what I'm doing. I've written stuff down, but if pretty much going on the fly at the seat of our pants, pretty much.
That's how you gotta do it.
Welcome to my world.
Well, where should we start? Well, I was going to go over something of the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view since we just heard the intro there. Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. What did everyone think of that match?
I'm actually surprised they let it go past the amount of time for Goldberg. I thought for certain they were going to... let him wrestle officially a shorter time than Goldberg, because now they make Samoa Joe look like he's better than Goldberg, which makes everyone wonder, why the fuck didn't Samoa Joe face Goldberg? Why wasn't he involved in WrestleMania? Because if Samoa Joe is, and I'll shut up, but if Samoa Joe can last longer than Goldberg, and be able to do as much damage as he did to Brock, then why was he treated as a nothing and didn't even wrestle Mania?
Papa Dave or Yuck?
Oh, John, you remember when we kind of talked about this a little bit? That was one of the more disappointing matches I've seen the WWE put on, I don't know, in years. You've got two of the best pure wrestlers, guys who actually know how to put on a good match.
Yeah.
And they gave them 6 minutes.
6.5.
After that, 6 and a, excuse me, let me add the 30 seconds.
25.
I don't want to I don't want to microaggress these guys and deprive them of their 25 seconds. They had 2 bulls in the ring, and what did they do? Nothing. They did nothing. They showed nothing. They had 2 of the best. I mean, I know what people think about AJ Styles and da, but they had 2 of the best wrestlers in the company, and they mismanaged the whole thing. They wasted their time. They fucked off a good main event into just a happenstance after their silly-ass ambulance match. So to hell with the Evil Empire, and to hell with their silly booking.
Damn!
Yuck, Darcy, you didn't actually watch the pay-per-view, but you've obviously heard enough about it. Do you have any opinion at all
So who
on
won?
this match?
Did
Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Brock Lesnar won. How many times did he suplex?
Supposedly, I think, six times or something like that?
Somewhere around
It
there.
wasn't much.
Was it pretty much a squash match?
Not really. Like, I'll give my side on it. So I didn't exactly hate the match to begin with. What I looked at it as was more of a shoot fight anyway, because if you kind of noticed of that whole match, yeah, they didn't do anything spectacular or different, but it did look like it was a shoot style match. And the amount of time that Samoa Joe got, how long do you think he would actually last against a guy like Brock Lesnar? It wouldn't even last that long, in my opinion. So I think it kind of went how it should.
Yeah.
Right on.
I still, I'm not trying to undercut Samoa Joe. I've been a fan of his since TNA, but I just personally think if they were trying to really push the whole idea for Brock Lesnar to be a powerhouse and to try to help still justify Goldberg, because who remembers the match at Mania? They made Goldberg and Brock look like even fights. And now, with what they did with Brock Lesnar, yeah, they made it a short-time match, but it was longer than Goldberg's, and basically means that Brock Lesnar, having lost so much that he did to Goldberg, and then come back as if he trained up, he got himself primed up and ready, he was ready for a fight, and he was able to defeat Goldberg in less than 5 minutes. It's like saying, okay, then that means Samoa Joe could have defeated Brock this entire time as well. So it wouldn't have just been Goldberg, it would have been Samoa Joe as well. So in my mind, it just messes up the storyline. They could have had them fighting outside the ring for a while with the match not even taking off yet. The bell didn't ring. And then they get in there, and Brock finally finishes him off, and it's officially a 1 to 2 minute match.
That's fair enough.
I'm surprised
is there any more? Sorry. Go ahead.
They would have let Samoa Joe take the belt. That's what I thought was going to happen, honestly.
I never thought it for a second, really, because the idea is to get to Roman Reigns, and you probably could have done it on the way, and you could probably have a fatal 4-way going into SummerSlam with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, but if the idea is to get it on Roman Reigns, which I don't want it to be, well, the sense is...
Brock is going to go. My bad to interrupt. So Brock is just going to go away forever again?
Yep.
Probably after
SummerSlam,
probably.
Yeah, next month he's supposed to be in a match at SummerSlam, which it's supposed to be widely reported Roman Reigns, where Roman's going to win the belt. But now rumors going around the scuttlebutt is that WWE's instead they're thinking that's not going to sell off, so they're looking at a fatal 4-way, including Joe and what's his name? Joe and Braun Strowman.
So I have to say this, I didn't write this down, but I'll go into it anyway. If the idea is to lead to Cena and Roman Reigns, who becomes the heel and who becomes the babyface in that match?
Doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't really, but...
Well, Roman Reigns is the babyface because that's how they want WWE fans to see him. Brock Lesnar's the bad guy.
Does anybody see him as a babyface?
No, everybody hates his guts, but WWE's going to be... it's... Okay, how about this? Yuck, you seem like the kind of guy who, if you were a superhero, you'd be in the Suicide Squad. If that makes sense. You're kind of doing crazy shit, and it ends up going for the greater good, WWE is taking a superhero that we see as someone from the Suicide Squad, or maybe he was the Joker, and they're taking him and saying, this is the superhero that's going to save the world. And we see the Joker or Mr. Freeze, they see Superman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense. Either way, they're backwards as fuck.
Yeah.
WWE logic.
Yeah, man. It's hard, man. I got back into wrestling after WrestleMania, and I canceled my fucking subscription shortly after that.
I don't blame anyone for I don't blame anyone for getting in and out of it. It's kind of at the moment where wrestling is at the moment, unless you're going independent scene, which I'll go an hour too. But independent scene is pretty much where your wrestling is at the moment. At the moment, like your top two companies or two or three companies aren't really doing, or United States companies aren't really doing the job in terms of being where they're supposed to be. It's more the independents than the actual big two companies.
Yep. It's hard to get into it when everybody complains about it. Like I still listen to Soup and you guys, and I'm always in the chat room with you guys, and it's just like everybody is complaining. It's hard to even turn on.
Well, if I may just quickly, I'm not going to go on a rant because this is not my show and I should not do that. But you guys see why
go ahead.
Well, no. I'm not going to do a rant. No. But I'm just going to say in a couple of sentences. You guys see why I push Global Force Wrestling or I push the Indies or Ring of Honor, because of people. There's no real good coming out of WWE other than to say, "Wow, look at Alexa's ass tonight."
Well, you'll see hour 3. We'll get into a whole GFW TNA debate.
Yeah.
So the last 45 minutes is for Johnny Florida. I'm kidding.
All right, you bitches! You thought this being another show I had discipline.
You did it now.
To go off of a stereotypical Japanese guy, I a rack of discipline, and I'm gonna go off for tonight. Oh, you big one.
Oh yeah. Oh, you do it, baby. Oh yeah.
Well, I guess we'll be moving on from this. Austin Aries.
Boo!
Yeah, they let him go, right?
They apparently, he said he quit, but then they say he got fired. It's probably a bit of both. I thought he was probably one of the best. He was probably the best thing happening for 205 Live, and they just end up they job him out, put him on a pre-show for WrestleMania, and then just get rid of him.
Oh, my bad.
I don't. Okay, he might be hard to deal with and might be difficult with creative, but then.
So is Brock.
I'm wondering if it's more. I'm wondering if it's more of a, well, you shouldn't suggest something, but then they'll say to you, well, suggest something if you don't like your character. Suggest something. Well, he's probably gone and done that, and it's pretty much like a how dare you, like CM Punk.
I thought he was badass.
Yeah.
Him going up against Neville. I watched those matches in that pay-per-view, whatever pay-per-view that was recently. Dude, I like Austin Aries. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. He was better than the black dude on 205 Live.
That's racist.
Kofi Kingston lookalike. That's racist.
Cedric Alexander, the Velveteen Dream. There's a bunch
all
of
them, man. Even the white guy, the pale.
the Rich, you're talking about Rich Swann, right?
I don't know their names. Yeah,
He's the one that was dancing to the ring. I thought he would be a good. I thought he'd be a good character to get over, but the problem was, what I think with
like
Rich
a badass.
Swann.
Austin Aries seemed like a badass. That's why I liked him.
Yeah.
The thing with Rich Swann, they kind of forced it instead of making it let it get over organically. I think that gimmick could have been over organically with him dancing all the time. It's just the way WWE pushes them is not organic.
Yeah, and that other one
NXT
that's corny as hell who dances too.
That's Rich.
It's surprising because you get to a lot of NXT, and well, NXT's been good or bad for so long, but anytime you watch a takeover, it's consistent, and everybody that's over or hated is over and hated organically, not compared to WWE where everybody is just either whoever they push is hated.
Yeah. See, if I may, like, one of the problems they have is NXT has been a great thing in the past. It's starting to blunder, but it's been great. The problem is few people view it. Some things came out when WWE had to talk corporate with their investors, and it showed that of all the people that have the network, 10% of them watch NXT. Now, supposedly, thanks to all the people from India, and that's being legit because they push with India because of Jinder Mahal, they got a supposed another 1 million people, which puts them at about 2.8, 2.9 million people worldwide. At 10%, that means that they're getting 280, 290,000 people watching NXT. 290,000 people in the planet watching NXT compared to the now 2.8 million in just the United States watching Raw and SmackDown, which has been low. But that shows how many of them are actually in the United States for the U.S. ratings or the Australian ratings and etc. They're pushing these guys, and we're not seeing the growth of these guys. If we see how they are on NXT and they grow, it could be a bit more natural because we see how these guys naturally grew and got better. You know what I mean? But we don't get to see that. We see them just push to the moon, and we're not talking a Stone Cold comes from WCW. He's the ringmaster in 1996 WWF. We're not talking Sting going to TNA, and we're not talking about Christian or Kurt Angle going to TNA. We're talking about guys that were in NXT and then just get immediately pushed, and we don't see all the backstory to them, you know?
There's only two people that I've seen that I consider NXT people. To me, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, while they were in NXT, they were never in that period where it was hot. To me, the only two that really got anywhere was probably Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe at the moment, or Finn Balor. Sorry, would be the third one.
And that's because they got exposure elsewhere. I mean, Kevin Owens was a Ring of Honor and Canadian guy. Finn Balor was New Japan, and Samoa Joe was TNA, so they already had that pre-exposure.
But Kevin Owens was going to get over anyway because that's just the way he is. He's just he's just that good at getting stuff over. You could probably give him a Dusty Rhodes polka dot gimmick, and he would get that over. So that's just the amount of talent that guy has.
Yeah. One of the things, if you've noticed, when they bring them in groups, they sometimes work. I mean, you just mentioned like Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They, along with Seth Rollins, who was the first ever NXT champion, they made the Shield. They got over because they were working quasi alongside CM Punk as his enforcers, you know? So they were able to build up because they were together. The Divas, when Charlotte and Becky Lynch came up, Paige, who's the youngest of all of them because she was already on on TV, was able to help them kind of get over as they came up. Sasha Banks worked against them as a heel alongside Tamina and whoever the hell was with her. So when they bring them up in groups, it seems to me that they work if they pair them up with the right people. But when they're not big-name guys like the names I just mentioned, like down in NXT, Bobby Roode will get over when he comes over on the main circuit. But all the other ones, if they don't have big-name exposure like these guys previously had, they're not going to be able to get over on their own. They just push them immediately as story left off, and nobody knows where the story was before that.
I'm waiting to see what they do with Nakamura, to be honest with you. I'm thinking it's going to lead to AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. I see that coming at WrestleMania. But I hope that guy gets a huge push. He's one of the ones I was hoping to get somewhere.
Yeah. Dave, you've been quiet. What do you think? I know you hate all these young guys, so...
Fuck the evil empire.
I don't hate the young guy. I don't hate anybody.
I was just trying to get you riled up, dude.
I know. I understand. I don't hate anybody. I'm just, I'm sorely disappointed that the company with the biggest resources and the best roster in probably the history of ever do mediocre and piss-poor booking. That's why I don't watch. It's not that I have a favorite here or a least favorite there, or I fucking hate Roman Reigns, or I fucking love Austin Aries, or why did they let this one go? Why did they let that one go? No, it's because the WWE has sunk to the level of, in the land of the blind men, the one-eyed man is king. That's the level they've sunk to.
Yeah.
They're just as adequate as they need to be, and it makes for a piss poor show. And that's why today I spent a couple of hours enjoying. Now I subscribe to the network because the network's got great stuff, and they've added more great old stuff. I was watching some old MSG shows today, Madison Square Garden shows. Watching Bruno Sammartino wrestle for 25 minutes against Stan Hansen. When today that would have probably been a 5-minute squash match. But they did 25 minutes in a steel fucking cage. And it was wonderful. It was slow. It was awkward. It's like a couple of big bulls that are just knocking together. But at the end of it, when Bruno walked out of that cage, the place just blew apart. It came unglued. And that's, there you go right there. And that if you ever want to know my thoughts on the WWE, that's pretty much it, right? Encapsulated.
One thing I got to ask for Papa Dave, because obviously you're not going to say you're old, but you're an older fan, or older than us.
I'll say it.
What generation of wrestling do you personally feel was the best overall?
I remember what was most popular, and the most popular was the late '90s. I guess what you guys call the Attitude Era.
But for you personally, not just popular, but for you personally,
it's the era where you fall in love with wrestling, and for me, that was a kid. I was a kid, and I was watching it on TV. My local show, my local territory, my local promotion. That's where I fell in love with wrestling. I fell in love watching Johnny Valentine and Wahoo McDaniel and Mil Mascaras and all those guys.
Hey,
now I can't hold. You can take matches today and look at guys like Valentine and McDaniel going 55 out of 60 minutes in a 2 out of 3 fall match. There's going to be gaps. There's going to be slow spots. But I'm going to tell you what. At a minute 55, when the last hand goes down and somebody wins, the place blows its mind. I mean, it legitimately blows apart.
Yeah.
I've been in the Coliseum when 8,000 people just literally lifted the fucking roof off the place just because Jose Lothario beat Johnny Valentine for the Texas Brass Knucks title. I mean, they were losing their minds.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a good crowd lose their minds in 20 fucking years.
Basically.
Not since, well, maybe a little less than that, in the old WCW, NWO days. Now, they used to get pretty rowdy then.
I could say that the only other one would be during the short-lived time of Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan, there's been a couple of guys that you have something here or there. Let's look at Nakamura. Nakamura is one of the only people to where people, because there's no words, people hum his music as he comes out. You got Daniel Bryan, who literally, is anyone chanting for him? No. Why? Because they're all doing a yes chant at the same time. Nobody's cheering. They're all going, yes, yes. That time him on top of the cage, everybody, 10,000 people just screaming, yes, and that's it, And Grado, when he's in Scotland, he uses that Ariand song, with the prayer, whatever it's called. He's the only wrestler I've ever seen that people have learned the lyrics to the entire song to sing it along. Not like a Kurt Angle, you sucker, learning a couple of words here or there. They actually learn the lyrics. But it's only been in isolated spots here or there. It's not been overall like you're saying, Dave.
Well, here's the thing about a guy like Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's a star.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan went out there and made himself a star. Somebody made the foolish mistake in the locker room of telling Daniel Bryan, kid, go out there and get yourself over. Oops, he went out and got himself over. Apparently not too many people appreciated it. I have no earthly idea how that shit works. Yeah. But he went out, he got himself over, he made himself a star. They put the belt on him, circumstances being what they are. Things didn't continue along the way. But you know what? That's what he did. He went and made himself a star. Yeah. And I can say he's probably the last legitimate superstar, wrestling superstar that company's had.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I just stopped the recording quick second. I can't turn off the notifications on Google Chrome for Facebook. So every time you guys message, I'm getting a ding and it goes into the recording. So
okay.
My bad, dude.
No. You guys didn't know. You guys fuck Chrome. So it's not your fault. Unless you guys own stock in Chrome, in which case, fuck you. So I just want to say that. Starting recording, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. And we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, so go on, Papa Dave.
Where was I?
You were just,
my God.
Like how we haven't had this in a long time, so. I mean,
Well, and I was talking about Daniel Bryan and him being the last legitimate superstar. I mean, legitimate wrestling superstar that the WWE had.
And WWE hates that. They hate that. They said, get yourself over, and he got himself over so much that they were like, fuck. Because they didn't want him to be a champion.
And you know what? The joke's on them, because they fucked. If that wasn't their intention, then they fucked that up too.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
They fucked his squash up. So
do you know how much I wish WCW was still around, or New Japan was already pushing as much as they're doing now in the U.S. when Daniel Bryan was doing that? Because, and I'll shut up, guys. Sorry. When Stone Cold got himself over. When he got himself over by not tapping out against Bret Hart, people were like, holy shit, this guy's a badass. We got to support him. And it naturally grew. It was organic, like you mentioned earlier, Sky. When some of these guys got over, it went great. But now that WWE has not dealt with any competition in the United States, they'll say in the world, but in the United States, they choose who they want. And if someone starts getting themselves over, they'll push them in a way with the hopes of burying them. They tried multiple times with Daniel Bryan. They succeeded with Zack Ryder. The second they gave him the U.S. title and they had him not carry the Internet title anymore, he started getting buried and he started going downhill. But now, if they had competition in the United States, they would be pushing whoever's getting naturally over and saying, fuck, the fans want that, we got to do that. Let's take Daniel Bryan and have him face off in the Yokozuna kind of feud like Rey Mysterio did with The Big Show. Or Lex Luger with Yokozuna. But no.
Well, WWE really fucked Daniel Bryan's push to begin with. They never wanted him to be over. And the fact that we're just finding out today they took off talking smack with Renee Young and Daniel Bryan, it just shows me they don't really have any respect for the guy because they just try to fuck him at every turn.
Yeah. Because they didn't want him. Reports are that, all the talks that whenever you saw Triple H saying that Daniel Bryan's a B star wrestler, whatever he was saying,
was a shoot.
It was a shoot because apparently the reports are behind the scenes that Triple H legit felt that way because Triple H, with his ego, does not believe that a small guy. Now, Rey Mysterio had faced off against Giants, and they were also sympathetic because of Eddie Guerrero, and Triple H knew Rey Mysterio for such a long time. But with Daniel Bryan, sorry.
But say, and cause of that, he is cause of the success though. He's using the smaller guys for NXT that are getting over. So he's finding out firsthand that it's not always the big guys that are getting over, but it's people with actual talent and charisma.
Right, and they don't like that. They want someone that's big. Triple H wants to believe that if someone's going to be the face of the company, it's someone who could, in his mind, legitimately beat him, which... To me, Rey Mysterio would legit beat Triple H because while Triple H has got strength, Rey Mysterio's got speed. Doesn't matter if you can punch through a wall. If the guy's able to get out of there fast enough, you're not hitting nothing. So, but Triple H's ego is like that shit. Same with Vince McMahon with his inferiorities.
Okay,
it was like with CM Punk.
Let me relate a quick story. Something that.
Dave, you just went out.
Hello, Dave.
I stopped the recording. David.
Okay.
WWE's pushing only indie. Russ, side note, we're gonna hang on. Yeah, we lost Dave. He'll get back on. But Russ in the chat room saying WWE only pushes indie guys. Everybody's an indie guy before they go into the pros. A few times you can have a Roman Reigns where because he's in the family, he does a little bit of training with his family and gets immediately sent to NXT. Everybody's an indie guy.
I'll say this. Maybe if the non-indie guys had some talent, they would get over. Indie stars are getting over in WWE because they have the talent to get over. And people who say that are idiots. Like they're trying to get over. So if they can get over, who cares where they're from? If they're good, who cares where they're from? I'd rather have somebody that's actually over and knows what they're doing compared to somebody who doesn't have any idea on what they're doing. And, yes, you do have guys like The Miz that break through, but then that's a very rare thing. How many WWE guys that have been cookie cutter have not gotten over in the past?
Yeah. I mean, well, WWE wants to make their own cookies, and I understand each Fed's kind of like that, but they got to understand... I'm not one that says, and I want to make sure Yuck says his points on this, but I'm not one that says, the people say what they say, so like you push who we want, because it's not like you can push all baby faces or fan favorites all the time. You got to have the bad guys. But when they de-push or take someone out, that they don't cut as their own cookie, or it's made as a cookie but just not the kind of cookie they want. They want everybody to be oatmeal raisin, but the fans find a chocolate chip and say, "Oh, we like that." They're going to have to understand that that's going to happen at times. I mean, that's why their business is going down. Entertainment is the entertainment business. They are to entertain people. And if people are not entertained, they leave. Now, you can have the individual fan that says, "Well, fuck you. I wanted the Ascension to be tag team champions." Okay, that didn't happen. But if you've got droves and droves of people saying that a person should be treated right, sometimes you'll have someone that gets buried like Dolph Ziggler. And fans wanted him, but they finally stopped fighting and go, okay, it's been inevitable. But Daniel Bryan, on the other hand, commanded so much. WWE, I've talked about my conspiracy beliefs, which I truly believe, not a conspiracy, it's a theory, is that Daniel Bryan's hired by WWE because they don't want him going to another Fed.
Yeah.
Because they know that he's Daniel Bryan, when he said on Talking Smack that, we'll see you in 18 months or whatever, because that's when he's supposed to be medically cleared. I think that's also around the time his contract's up with WWE. And,
that's what I heard as well.
And I think on top of that, I think that's why they keep Paige around too. And nothing to. I was about to go into a Paige conversation anyway, but I will go into it now. To me, I see her as money. I see her as a money heel. Yes, she's a bratty kid, but then the WWE could use that to put on TV. But when she's doing all these coke rants and that's what puts her back a little bit.
Yeah, but at the same time, people give her some benefit of the doubt. There were people who were saying, okay, there's no excuse, stuff like that. But a lot of people in this generation, I don't want to get the whole PC thing, but a lot of us now, it's like we see her as a victim. The sex videos and the pictures she had and everything, someone could say, oh, she shouldn't be doing that. But how many people do? How many people have made a sex video with their wife or with their girlfriend? I haven't yet.
I have.
Yeah, see? Now, if Yuck Nasty gets leaked out, we're supposed to say, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, that's like trying to blame someone that's like trying to blame him for the fact of, well, if you didn't want kids, you should never have sex. That is the ultimate abstinent way of preventing it. Yes, but he didn't do anything wrong. Just the fact that he's got to say, well, I had sex, so now I got a kid. I'm not saying Yuck says that stuff. I'm making a hypothesis.
No, I mean, fuck it, dude. I have a 14-year-old going on 15-year-old.
Dude, you're
old.
What
am I going to do? What am I going to do if he fuck? Yeah, I also had him when I was, like, in my early 20s. I'm 22. Asshole. But anyways. I am old.
I'm guessing Yuck will have a brand on page. There you go.
He said, people always say, your kids are going to see it. Man, my fucking kid is, if it got leaked or whatever and it's online, but let's just say in that, you think he's going to want to see that shit or look at that shit? Fuck no. He's going to be like, my dad is dumb. But this
one wants to see their parents fucking
pictures to other chicks, man. Just watch.
Not to mention, they're not watching it on WWE itself. So someone say, well, they could search for it. Why the fuck is your 9-year-old have a phone? That's not WWE's fault. It's not more importantly, it's not Paige's fault. It's not Brad Maddox's fault. It's your fault your 9-year-old has a phone. Okay? So don't blame us because you literally gave your kid the World Wide Web.
Yeah, man, to block that shit. Block it, and there's parental blocks on your phone. Fucking Christ.
There you go, right there.
Yep.
I still say don't give him a phone. I didn't get a phone until my senior year in high school, and that was it. And it was a simple phone that was made for phone calls, barely text, and the only game I could play was Snake and Othello. Fucking hated Othello.
That's why, like with me, I always put a warning in front of my show. Like anything said here or done it's going to happen, so don't listen to it. And then that's why I say, well, parents have to tell their kids to fuck off, pretty much.
Right. I mean, and why is it people? I mean. Look at what we've had. I mean, Scott Hall comes back every so often, and I don't blame the guy, but does that mean we need to hit WWE like, oh my God, WWE can't have Paige back because she had this video leak out? Well, then we shouldn't have Scott Hall back because he murdered somebody. Now, it was justifiable. Look at the story. The guy was defending himself. It's completely fine. But the point being is it's still homicide. Justifiable homicide.
But then they still acknowledge Jimmy Snuka, though. They acknowledge Jimmy Snuka, who
Pat Patterson, who was basically a priest in a suit. With
Man,
the
I
shit
bet
that
you
he did.
Pat Patterson has a sex tape.
Yeah, but just not with any adults. You know.
Please, to the people out there who might be listening who leak all this, please keep the Pat Patterson one away. We don't think we need to see that one.
Yeah, that's one secret we can keep a secret. I don't need to see some old-ass Canadian guy with a bunch of kids. That's just fucked up enough as is.
Well, he doesn't. He wouldn't have a bunch of kids. He was gay.
But stories are that he was getting with teenagers all the time. Now, let's look back in time. I mean, Jerry Lee Lewis, the man who, the theme song for Great Balls of Fire, married his 14-year-old cousin, and the only reason why people went nuts on him was because it was found out that he married her at 14 and not 15. He told people she was 15 when they got married, and they went nuts when they found out she was 14, because that was the fine line back in the day. You know, so, I mean, I'm not trying to say that meant that Pat Patterson could do what he did. I'm just saying it was a lighter standard. I mean, we're talking only a couple of decades after the whole, you know, you turn 12, you can work in the factory, and the fact you can marry a 14-year-old. But so it was a bit of a different time, and Pat Patterson was more likely to do that stuff back then compared to now.
If Pat Patterson has kids, it's not willingly. Anyway, moving on to WWE Champion Jinder Mahal.
Oh, are you saying some woman raped Pat Patterson or what?
I don't know. Well, June's always gone about there's no rape in here, so I thought I'd give something for him.
Oh, there you go.
Something for everybody. So Jinder Mahal as WWE Champion. I think he's shouldn't be at all, but
I'm surprised you had to pause for a second there, because it's like, okay, do I need to say something correctly? No, he shouldn't be. Yuck.
Well, I didn't know what I could. I'm trying to say what could I say to do stuff. But yeah.
It's like the old adage: vegetarians. It's not that they're bad people; it's just that they're terrible people. You know,
it's nervousness live.
I kind of don't mind transgender Mahal being the fucking WWE champion.
Yeah, fuck it. If they're gonna keep going down, and I don't like him anyway. Keep going.
Fuck cares, right?
No, Jinder's gimmick.
Well, it can't be as bad as Tranny Snooker.
Yeah, good point. I still wonder if she's a girl, but yeah. Anyway, no, with Jinder Mahal, Jinder Mahal's gimmick would have worked completely well if he was United States champion. It would have worked if he was Intercontinental champion. Hell, they could have probably brought some prestige back to the belt if they did things the right way with him doing that. Because it's the most, the Intercontinental title is the most illustrious belt in WWE history. Because every Fed has a World Heavyweight Champion. WWE's the only one that has a Universal Championship, but same thing. But of all the mid-card titles in history, the most well-known are Television, United States, and Intercontinental. And to WWE, that's that belt. That's the crown jewel in the Fed. So if they could have done things the right way. But to put him for the world title, you think they would have gotten less subscriptions than they made in the United States champion, and to be the Canadian Indian that's trying to make America great on his own terms? It would have got over a lot better. And use it as a stepping stone and see if they could put the world title on him a year later. I mean, they took Heath Slater and gave him a gold medal in the Olympics. And that's nothing but
if they build Jinder Mahal at least a year, I think. And what I'm thinking of, not so much beating so many people, but going out there and saying, well, where's my shot? Where's my shot? Having him become the one heel because he's anti-American and then gets the title, yeah, I could understand him being champion. But to get it 6 weeks after being a jobber, the 6 weeks prior, then that's kind of pointless.
Now, they could have had. Here's what they could have done: had him win a battle royal, or maybe even the Royal Rumble. Don't give him the belt, but have him win the battle royal or whatever, and it builds up some time to where have him get bigger and stronger, make him look like he's trained to fight for the biggest of things. Make him have get his ass kicked by Big Show. Maybe they pay $10,000 to Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman to do some training, and they just beat the shit out of him, put him through a wall. And to the time comes that he goes off to face. Who was the champion? Randy Orton. You know, he wouldn't have won the belt the first time, but he would have been such a fight that people would have been like, wow, the guy can really take a punch, you know? It's kind of like a Rocky theme.
I would go one better and say have him win Money in the Bank, have him hold it for a year, have him complain, win Money in the Bank, and go to about maybe Royal Rumble and then cash in and win it. Otherwise, because when you have the build, it works more, but when you don't, he's just coming in like nobody can take him seriously.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But the only problem for WWE was that they didn't fit their mold because Money in the Bank happened too late. Because their biggest deal was they were trying to fend off TNA. And I know that still sounds stupid to anybody, but honestly, take a look. TNA announced last year that they were going to be doing their tour in India this year. A month before, that as they start promoting that they're going to be in India to do their shows, WWE starts pushing Jinder Mahal and opens WWE Shop India.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and now if and here's the biggest part. Now someone's going to say TNA is a joke. In the United States, it may be a joke, and I know in Australia it's not much.
Hold on, whoa, hold, save that for hour 3. We got hour 3 for the whole rant for that.
I'm right on the verge, dude.
Trust me, Johnny. You're going to have at least an hour to go over that.
Dude, you're literally stopping me after I put a couple of drops of pee into the toilet. You know, it stings. It stings when you tell me to hold it.
See, now you've given people reason because now you got to say something off the cuff.
Oh come on, this ain't in the bedroom.
You'll get worked up
dude,
again.
That doesn't work. This is not the bedroom. You can't lick a tit and expect an hour later she's gonna be turned on.
Yeah, you can.
No,
Sure.
It'll work for you because you'll be stuck and pissed off for a while and be like, "Bitch, what happened?" Right in the middle. Come on, I'm still like you're still hot. No shit. I think about you every 8 to 10 seconds. Will you give me a break here? No, women. It's not like that with women.
Okay. Well, we'll go on to something happier. AJ Styles, who won the United States Championship at Madison Square Garden, and the importance of that, to me, in my view, it gives. Well, it was something special for Madison Square Garden, but also to have change at a house show. I think it's pretty important to give. I think they should have more title changes sometimes at house shows to make it a little bit more legitimate. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that idea. It doesn't always have to be on TV. You know, that makes house shows like, damn, it happened at a house show and we were there.
Yeah, that's the whole reason.
Like that. And you're right. It makes it a little bit more legitimate, like they're really fighting each other. Because damn, it happened at a house show.
Yeah. I'm trying to take a look. See, supposedly there was rumors going around that the Usos lost the tag titles to the New Day. I guess they changed it and made it to where it was not a title change or whatever. But yeah, WWE is, and I'm going to try to prevent myself from going on another rant. But WWE just had. I'm going to start off with an example. They just had a house show in Corpus Christi, the American Bank Center, something like that. And Dave, if we lost Dave in the chat, by the way, guys, he's having a problem with his connection. It seems like. So he can give an answer in the chat room, though.
Okay.
But this was in Corpus Christi. This place, I believe, can hold up to 10,000 people, and they supposedly got about 3,000 people. They only had so many people sitting in the very front rows. This is a stadium that plays hockey, by the way. So there's no hockey. It's clearly concrete there right now. The interior area for where the rink is, they have a bunch of seats for people sitting in and a big open area surrounding it. And then they got people sitting in the actual bleacher sides or whatever, you know, the stands, the seating. And there's only a couple hundred like that. I saw an angle of one shot from one side. And if it's about the same going completely around, you're probably talking about 500 people max. They got about 3,100 people in the entire center. So they only got a third. And this was not an NXT house show. This was a Raw or SmackDown. They're trying to build up. Their buy rates have been going down so low because they want to push Jinder as champion and other bullshit that they're trying to build up the buy rates to the damn house shows again. You know.
Hello.
So
yeah. Okay.
So they
cool.
will.
Sorry.
I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you just dropped out for a second. It's just the same thing with Papa Dave. Papa Dave, what we'll do, we'll finish off this hour and we'll get you back into the next hour when we go through the break.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Cool.
I've tried calling them back, so have them restart. But no, they only got that many, so they're trying to build back because their house shows have been going down in numbers a lot. You know, they've already got to tape off areas, or as Joey Numbers calls it, Roman drapes, to areas of the arenas. House shows, it's even worse. So they're trying to build up their buy rates to make the house shows feasible still. That's why they did the title change. That's why there was the rumors going around that supposedly the New Day won the tag titles against the Usos, because their hope is, if title changes happen, maybe we'll go to house shows and maybe we'll see a title change this time around. They'll do it this one time, and probably a second time, and that'll be it.
This is I wish we had Papa Dave. I because he would understand this one, but you would too. But I think it should be something where you could have the false finishes, where, like, say they have a pinfall where somebody accidentally beat, say, Jinder Mahal, but WWE overturned it because of this reason. I think it would be a good idea to add something for the live shows, for like something old school for the live shows, to make it a bit more interesting. Because I've gone to live show here in Australia about a couple of years ago, and nothing was really that special. I think it was 3/4 of the arena full. I'm thinking WWE should have done a false finish with the WWE title, and then that would have built the crowd for next time. Or next time they come here, they're going to do this and that.
Yeah.
Pretty much when they come here, though, you never. There's no storyline, just the event.
Yeah. See, now I took a quick look. Other than NXT, which mostly it's house shows, so they'll do it every so often. The last time, they've only done it twice, by the way. The last time a title change happened at a house show was Primo and Epico defeated Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston in 2012 for the tag team titles, and that's because Evan Bourne ended up being suspended for the wellness policy. So they had to take the titles off of him, and they just did it at a house show. Last time before that was in 2008 when the Miz and John Morrison beat CM Punk and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston can't catch a break.
Never.
And there was one where Mickey James won the title. I think it's from Melina, because Melina buggered up the call, and the next night they had to have her win the title. And then there was another one where I think it was either Christian or Booker T. It was in 2003.
Yep, that's
where it was the Intercontinental title change. I think it was in one of the house shows.
Yep, in Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've only had it so many times, and I found, Mickey James defeated Victoria and Melina in a triple threat in France for the title. She pinned Victoria by accident, supposedly. Coachman awarded a immediate rematch for Melina, since she wasn't the one pinned, and she got the title back. Since then, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4 changes. This is actually the U.S. They've all been tag titles. This is the first time a male singles title change has happened since, and here's one I was remembering, Nunzio defeated Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight title in Italy in 2005. So it's basically tag team titles. So, yeah.
But even that, to me, that would create interest for the next time. It's like, wow, I saw a title change on a live event, so I'm going to go to the next one. So that to me is just marketing. Yeah. I guess.
Well, here's the funny thing, and Dave talked about it, and I'm only saying this because Dave can't be in the call right now. We'll get him in about 15 minutes when we go on break. But as Dave talked about it for Texas...
Your time to shine, Papa Dave, and sadly you're off.
Yeah, but like Dave talked about it, the old ways it went for the territories was we had these TV shows, but the main shows they did were the house shows, like when they did what we call house shows now. They were the live events that they did in like the stadiums. Now the TV shows were in studios. They probably have about 100 people in audience inside of a studio, and that was the TV shows was to help promote the Fed, so people would turn out to the shows at the live events. So it's completely reversed. The TV shows were recruitment and advertisement to go to the real events. So you probably would rarely see a title change at a TV show event, but you would see it at the live events in the Coliseums.
Yep. That'd be Saturday morning. Superstars, all the squash matches. Is that what you're talking about when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I never got to watch that because obviously,
because you're a young bastard.
I'm a young bastard. I'm pretty much the same age as you. Because I didn't start watch wrestling till about I was at least 13, so that was 2001.
Oh, see, I got a lot of years on you.
I missed the Attitude Era by I think a couple months.
Yep.
Man, in the 80s, Saturdays were the shit because you'd have Saturday morning cartoons, you'd have then the wrestling would come on, and then Saturday night main event where you had like the big stars, or Hogan would be battling somebody or something, Iron Sheik, and all the squash matches would be like wrestling superstars or whatever it was called Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday morning shitbox.
There it is.
Yeah. No, that was back in the day when you, what was it, like 8, 9, 10 in the morning, yuck? Kids would turn up with their cereal and watch wrestling.
Yeah.
It was like the wacky races.
Yeah, Saturdays were the shit when we were kids, especially for wrestling. I remember all of that. Saturday night main events were awesome.
Yeah.
Just try to stay up and fucking fall asleep before the main event happens.
Well, we'll move on from something for wrestling at the moment. I was going to bring up some music talk. To be honest, I don't know what I'm going to talk about with music, but Yuck Nasty, what did you grow up and follow? Obviously with rap and hip-hop and that, but what's your origins with music?
Oh, I'm going to hate this topic.
Wow, all of it. I've listened to everything. I grew up, in the 80s. My sisters were like 10 years older than me, so I grew up on like 70s music and whatever they were listening to, 80s. Whatever was popular, I listened to. But like hip-hop, I've always listened to hip-hop as a kid. I always liked the beats more than the rock.
What was something that really... So obviously, your show, and you've obviously done albums and songs and that. What artist got you to start doing that?
I don't know, dude. I've always been... Yeah, John Cena.
John Cena?
I don't know, man. I've always been singing ever since I was a child, so... I used to be in choir all the way through high school and everything.
Wow. I just can't see you doing orchestra choir music.
Man, I was in choir, hell yeah, all the way through my senior year. I used to go, it's like in my senior year, though, I'd go out and get high during lunch and then come back, fall asleep during choir class.
They're trying to be like, okay, everybody, let's do another rendition of the Bumblebees, and you'll be like, fuck that, Bob Marley.
I can imagine Yuck Nasty doing Christmas carols, say, joy to the world, penis.
Yeah, penises in the world, all the penis will come.
Oh,
yeah.
Penis, you're so fine, you know my dick, hey, penis.
Yeah, hey, penis.
Papa Dave's like Billie Holiday's 60s soul music and Blue Cheer.
Oh yeah, dude, I love 50s, 60s music.
I'm a little now. There was some 60s. Now I'll tell you what, 50s rock. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's the name of the song? I'm trying to remember. Bo Diddley. That's a good song from the 50s. That was a good. I'll say it. That makes me sound dated, but there was some good 50s rock. But
dude, like you were all rock makes you sound dated. Like you were born in the 50s, fucker.
No, because I like old music. Okay, now here's the thing.
I like old music too. Bo Diddley was shit.
Yeah. Now here's the thing for me was, and I'll be very short about this. My mom loves her old music. Like few songs that she liked past the 70s. 50s, 60s, 70s. So I had to grow up listening to Elvis and the Monkees and the Beatles. And I listen to Barry Manilow and her disdain for Frank Sinatra. I love, like, anytime, like, if I can, I just go, hey, Mom, Sinatra did it better. And she just gets mad. Especially Sweet Caroline, because Barry Manilow made that, but Sinatra did too. I'm like, yeah, this is a jam right here. And she just gets pissed. But this is the sad thing. The first modern music I got to listen to was the fucking Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears. Pathetic. Pa-fucking-thetic. But then I finally got to grow into my own kind of music, and I love 80s rock. Flock of Seagulls, Striper.
That's 80s rock? Flock of Seagulls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, their song, I Run, which was used as the theme song for Vice City? That was made in, 1985?
They kind of had electronic stuff to them. I wouldn't have called them rock, totally.
Well, you got Van Halen.
There you go.
Striper, which is a Christian rock band, but it's funny because they all dress up kind of like girls, it looks like.
Striper.
Yeah, good band.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm a product of the '80s, so I know all those fucking hair.
There you go. AC/DC.
Oh yeah, them too.
Now they kind of went into the '90s, but
yeah,
I mean,
they were before '80s though. AC/DC.
Yeah, Russell's like, that's not rock, you fag, and I'm like, what's not rock? There's a lot of shit out there that I just said, but they're all like,
Yeah, man, I could play the guitar. Fucking dude, I could play the guitar, I can play the piano. I suck at all of it, but yeah, dude, I listen to all sorts of music. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Song is good, it's good.
Yeah, I'll listen to anything. I just can't do gospel. I can't do.
Yeah.
I do Christian rock, but I can't do gospel. I need music that has energy. there's some, and it's like, okay, this is kind of fun, but I mean, I gotta get in music that's got a lot of energy. I gotta feel like it's alive, you know. Like I've listened to some ICP music just to piss off Jenkins because he hates the modern music.
What about you, Scott? What kind of music?
I have to be hard and heavy. Hard and heavy, man.
So you like big girls?
Hey, big girls need loving too, you know.
Don't cry.
Hey, wait a minute. No. Quagmire said it best. What? Don't be so crude. Fat chicks need love too, but they gotta pay.
More cushion for the pushing.
Yeah, no, I don't need to be trying to give it to a girl and realize I've been giving it to a fat roll for about 50 minutes.
It's no different, really.
Big difference.
Yeah, we're about 45 minutes in. You want to go to a break?
45 minutes?
Well,
yeah, we'll go for a break now.
Yeah, I tried giving the full break, but...
Okay. We'll go with Tom Sawyer Rush for the ad break.
And I thought I was old.
Sounds good, baby.
Can't get enough of the Sky Genie Show? Check out the website, skygenieshow.weebly.com. There you'll find links to past shows and much more. Go to skygenieshow.weebly.com today for in-depth discussion on professional wrestling as well as politics and the stupid laws in your state. Check out Wrestling's National Committee with Johnny Florida, Old Man Jenkins and Papa Dave Sensei, live on Mixlr on Tuesdays during SmackDown, or the after party of Wrestling Soup, and on Sundays. Check them out. You need more fruits and vegetables in your diet? Check out juiceplus.com.au today. Juice Plus is the convenient and inexpensive way to add more nutrition to your diet from fruits and vegetables every day. Juice Plus Fruit Blend is made from 7 different fruits. Juice Plus Vegetable Blend is made from 10 different vegetables, grains, plus an array of natural antioxidants, phytochemicals, and fiber in a convenient capsule form. Each ingredient is especially selected to provide you with a wide range of nutritional benefits. We call it next best thing to fruits and vegetables. Check out juiceplus.com.au today. Looking for a podcast instead of wrestling? And check out Get in the Corner with Dogger Baby and Yuck Nasty, 8:30 Wednesday night on Mixlr. For discussions and opinions on the events of professional wrestling, check out Wrestling Soup with Joey Numbers, Anthony Missionary Thomas and John Draper as they break down what's good and what's bad in professional wrestling with a light-hearted approach. Thursdays, 9:30 on Mixlr, Saturday morning-ish. And after every WWE pay-per-view, you get a free post-show review. Check out Wrestling Soup, motherfuckers.
Some good music.
Welcome back.
We are back.
I could always play another song if you guys want. I'll put on some Belinda Carlisle, make this as gay as possible. I know all the words too, so I could sing with it.
Yeah, baby.
Go for it.
That was a great. I don't know if that was planned, but that was a great. Yeah. Great
All right. Okay. So, Papa Dave back in yet, or what's going on there?
Checking with the group. I told him to up. It says rejected, so he's probably still trying to upload. I told him to message in the group chat when he's able to get back in. So I'll try calling him right now. And, let's go from there.
So we're on?
Yeah. Well, we've been on the whole time, dude.
Okay.
Everyone's hearing this.
Right.
Everyone's hearing, even on the recording. Everybody's hearing this shit. Everybody knows that we're talking right now. There was no hiding this. Okay. If you have a scandal and you were trying to get away with like talking it off the air, no, everybody knows. Everybody knows. They can hear it. I'm telling the Australian government. I'll tell Western Australia. I know it's not your state, but I'll tell them anyway, just for fun.
Okay, I'll put down my plans for world domination away. So hour 2.
Man, I don't know if you can get domination over Papua New Guinea. Love you.
Anyway, so we're going to get into indie wrestling.
Let me interrupt real quick. What's Papa Dave's Skype name?
It's a good question.
Okay.
Papa Dave Sensei.
There you go. Yeah, I wasn't in my Skype, so
I'm calling him.
I'm still on it, but I can't get into it.
yeah.
Anyway, well, we'll get into hour 2 and on with the show. So, indie wrestling. Over the last few years or so, there's been a bit of a rise in indie wrestling as far as New Japan, Ring of Honor, and PWG.
Those aren't PWG is, but the other two are not indies.
I still kind of count them as indies because they're. What do you think about it? They're known, but they're not well known to be enough to be national. They're probably national companies, but they're not nationally.
Dude, are you kidding? New Japan used to be number 1 until WCW took that, and then WWE took it. New Japan was number 1. All Japan was number 1 at a point. You know, so trust me, they're world known. Everybody knows New Japan. So they may not watch it, but they know them.
Well, either way, New Japan Pro Wrestling did a tour of the US.
Yep.
Also did a show in the US for the G1 special.
Yep.
I didn't get to watch day 2, but I watched day 1 and thought it was pretty amazing. What do you think is important about this cover to America, and expanding it for the future?
How much time you got, buddy?
Go.
No, Yuck, you can go first because I know I go on my tangents.
No, you tanned it all the way up.
Well, New Japan, to us, to me, and to many people that's seeing this, that hates the, as Dave calls it, the evil empire of WWE, this is the invasion of the territory. This is the second invasion of a territorial control that we have seen since WWE taking out the territories back in the 1980s and then going national alongside WCW. The other one was when WWE tried going to invade the UK. Now, much like Dunkirk, rest in peace to those brave heroes of the siege of Dunkirk, they're having to fall back. So, what do you call it? WWE tried to do the stuff in the UK, and they're failing coming back because that's why New Japan's doing what they did. I talked about it on my show. What is it? I know June taught me. Takari Kidani, the owner of New Japan, said we are at a point where you're either with WWE or against it. So he made his move to go into the U.S. This is an official invasion of the U.S. territory in the case of New Japan. They've already announced that the show is so good. They announced they're going to have a Los Angeles office for New Japan by the end of the year and plan on doing shows in the U.S. again by March, April to include a show supposedly in New Orleans during WrestleMania week. So to me, this is great because the wars are starting up again, but it's going to be international based in some ways. Although New Japan's making their U.S. brand here.
I think with New Japan, and I'm glad you said the guy's name because I couldn't pronounce it in the slightest.
I thought it was Takaaki Kidani, but no, June came on and said no, it's Takari. So apparently the second K is silent.
Well, if anybody knows, it's a Japanese rapist. Anyway,
not Takai, the other guy.
Yeah.
Davey!
I lost my train of thought.
There he is.
Dave, he's
Dave
back.
now, can't we?
Can Dave hear us?
You guys.
If Papa Dave can hear, say penis.
Papa, can you hear them?
No.
Aww.
Damn it, you can't hear them, but you can hear me and they can hear you.
Okay, so you're going to have to play our interpreter. So,
All right, I'll play the interpreter. They just
Mushi, Kondami, Ika, Achi, I don't know, some other made-up Japanese words.
Papa's getting pissed.
Yeah, Papa's getting pissed.
Papa's pissed. He's grunting and moaning over
You know,
here.
this ought to be fucking simple.
It should be simple, Papa.
You know, when I was a kid and me and Bill Gates and all us nerdy motherfuckers were watching Star Trek and all
Star
this
Trek.
shit, and we envisioned this and we came up with all this shit, it was going to be simpler than this.
Yep.
God damn it.
He's pissed, you guys. He just cussed at me.
Sky, I think you have to title this section, Dave Goes Wild.
God damn.
Pissed off Texan.
Pissed off Texans, Sky Genie.
Pissed off white trash redneck.
Pissed off Bruce Pritchard wannabe.
No, Bruce Pritchard wants to be him.
Let me open the Mixlr chat. Shit.
Love you, Dave.
Love you, Dave.
I love you too, man. I do. I love you with all my heart and soul.
Oh, he did say he loves us.
This ought to
He
be
did say
fucking
it.
simple.
No, he said I love you to you. He loves you, not us.
Oh, yeah, you guys can hear him. He can't hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Then why am I interpreting him to you guys?
That's a good question.
He said that's a good question. Oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to do that.
As you were saying, Sky, you were starting to talk about with New Japan. It's good that I mentioned the name. So, anyway, as you were saying.
Well, I was gonna have lost my train of thought, and now it's way gone. But anyway,
Well, you couldn't remember the name of the owner of New Japan, so it's a good thing that I said it. And from there on.
well, I meant to say it as a passing joke, but then it kind of went to hell from there. So, live audio bullshit from the Sky Genie Show. But anyway, yeah, the match between Okada and Cody Rhodes. People are down on Cody Rhodes. It says he's left WWE, which I kind of think think's a bit harsh. I mean, before when he left WWE, everybody was for it. Everybody was saying, "Oh, good on you, you're getting out doing your thing," and now he's doing his thing. They were shitting all over him. So I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yuck.
I don't watch it. I like Cody Rhodes, and I'm glad that he's elsewhere doing shit. I've always liked Cody Rhodes. When I first started watching wrestling again, he had the Intercontinental belt.
Yeah.
And always liked Cody since then. What do you think, Papa? What do you think about Cody and Ricotta? Is that his name?
Okada.
Not ricotta. You're talking about a cheese. And it's
Ricotta.
Yeah. Wow.
Papa, do you know about Okada and Cody Rhodes? He's not there.
He said
He
goodbye. Goodbye.
Oh, there you go.
I'm here. I was meditating and breathing.
He was.
I was doing
can he hear us?
exercise.
Can he hear us now?
Myself.
No, he's still on Skype, so he can't hear us.
I haven't found it yet, but I dig Cody and Okada. I think they had a hell of a good match. You know, they wrestled a hell of a good match. Certainly better main event than any shit that the Evil Empire's cooked up here lately.
So Cody is in New Japan now. He's not with.
He's in a lot of companies. He's in New Japan, Ring of Honor. He was in TNA, but I think he's left TNA now to focus on Ring of Honor full time. But
he's been under paid appearance when he was with TNA, and he's been supposedly with paid appearance for Ring of Honor, but is going to be making a contract now because they have the talent exchange between Ring of Honor and New Japan. He can do both, and that's why he also does Northeast Wrestling in New York and Connecticut, where he's the champion.
Yeah, dude.
He's been doing a lot of UK stuff as well, from what I've been.
What Culture? He was their internet champion.
What Culture has their own independent?
Yeah, they've had their own fed for a while in the UK. What Culture Pro Wrestling? They're one of the biggest.
Yeah,
they've been one of the biggest feds
they're
with
the
the
ones
whole
that
YouTube thing.
Yeah, I thought
they're the ones that had their show cancelled because YouTube wasn't sponsoring their show. They decided to cancel because they said wrestling was offensive conversation.
Yeah.
And then they
it sucks.
So they cut all their budget.
What it is with YouTube, if you have a subscription channel on YouTube and you put episodes up, depending on how much views you get, they pay you. Last I heard, it was like $3,333 per million views, but you had to hit a minimum of 1 million. What Culture was making like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per video they put up on YouTube, and because of because of YouTube saying that they're no longer doing that and running the advertisements on the wrestling, because of that, they lost like 99% of the revenue from YouTube. They got like $40.
Of course. Because YouTube lost all of their advertisers, their big time advertisers, so they had to change their terms of service so they can keep more revenue and not pay out to people. So they made wrestling offensive content, just like they did hunting and fishing and swear words.
So let's learn about the word fuck.
That's why Yeah, exactly. That's why they're getting flagged. That's why all people aren't making money anymore.
Yeah, I figure it's because they want to make their pockets much bigger as well. I didn't know that I knew some advertisers may have pulled out because of the ISIS incident, but I figure it's because, like, hey, we got so many people now that's making all this stuff. We're not making as much money. So what should we do? Let's find things to ban. Wrestling.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, McDonald's. Every big advertiser pulled out from them months ago. You know, right around when the fake news shit went down. And like anybody, if you get flagged, like let's say you talk about wrestling, I could flag you. They'll just right away. YouTube, they won't even investigate. You'll get flagged, and you got to prove. Even if you get flagged by one person, you got to prove that you're not offensive or you are worthy for monetization. But otherwise, how it goes is it's like every 1,000 you get $1.
Yeah.
For that content, it goes by. You know what I'm saying? Like the content that you're in. If you're talking about real estate, you get more. You probably get like $20 every 1,000. Yeah. It's crazy, but
you got to hit like a minimum of 1 million views now. So here we go. It shows K likely to gets about $7.60 per 1,000 ad views, down from $9.35 in 2012.
It's fucking up. Can you hear that guy?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
You can hear me?
Yeah, here we go. Roughly a video creator.
Hello,
Johnny.
I can hear all you guys.
You're the only one.
You can hear me? Good. It's just because I dropped out for a second.
I can hear you, Sky. I stopped the recording. Can you hear us, Yuck?
All I can hear is that like you guys are chopping everything.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly good.
Yeah,
because you're on Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The system that doesn't work, by the way.
Maybe, Johnny, when you started looking through other websites, that's kind of when you started going choppy.
I'm not looking. I'm looking at on the separate computer. So.
Yeah, you're choppy as hell. All you are chin.
Should we add? Should we close? Let's close out the Facebook call and start up.
Alright. So we'll be back.
Sorry about that, everybody. Close that out. Let's see how my system's doing. Okay, everything's fine with that. I gotta have Chrome now. I gotta have Audacity. I gotta have the Mixlr. Okay. Now let's restart this fucking group call. Yuck. Technology is fun, ain't it, everybody? Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Now where the fuck is
I'm here. Not sure.
Yeah, it says his connection dropped, and for Dave it says unreachable. Let me try calling him back.
There's a heap just came in then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Yuck was in the call, but it dropped.
Here we go. We're back on the call.
Okay, you're back in the call. Where's Dave?
Dave's here on Skype with me. We were having a good conversation that wasn't choppy.
Well, I'm trying to call Dave through Facebook, so.
Dave, are you getting a call through Facebook? Johnny's trying to call you.
Hang on.
He said, hang on.
Let me try this.
It's ringing on him right now.
It's ringing on you right now.
I just picked this up.
Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah, turn off your Skype, Dave. We're hearing you twice, and I can only hear you one time enough.
I hung up Skype on him.
Good. Oh, you hung up on him? You selfish, unsavory bastard.
Papa, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep. Yay!
Papa, can you hear me?
The joys of life.
So what was I talking about that I had to get cut off because fucking Google...
I don't know.
I blame Zuckerberg.
I got up to we're talking about Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And after about a certain point, it cut off. I don't know whereabouts he got up to. I forget now.
I've been recording the whole time, so there hasn't been any missing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just have to try to figure out how to upload, but what do you call it? Whatever.
What can go wrong will go on.
Yeah, I know. Yuck, what was I talking about before you started saying I fucked up?
Cody Rhodes' wife and his leaked and her fucking naked pictures were fucking awesome.
No, I didn't talk about that, but I wish I saw those.
Those?
I haven't seen them.
Wow, they're from like a couple years ago, dude. They're
Oh,
fucking,
nice
dude.
stuff. Lucky,
my
lucky
God.
bastard. I want that, but
Me and Dave, we seen him.
JoJo.
Oh God, no. That's just too much ass. But But whatever the fuck, I don't remember what exactly I was going off the tangent, so I'll just move on to the next person.
Okay. Where were we up to? Indies, weren't we?
Well, we were talking about Cody and what he's doing, and
New Japan.
Yeah, I talked about their invasion and what they're doing. We were up to Cody Rhodes and then whatever from that point forth. Oh yeah, the What Culture. Yeah, I was talking about for What Culture and the other stuff on YouTube. The thing says roughly a video creator will earn $2,000 for every million views. YouTube takes 45%. So, but you got to earn a minimum of 1 million views to be able to get paid. So, these guys, What Culture, were making like $5,000 to $7,000 per video on YouTube, and then because of the whole deal, they got like $40, so they can't afford the money to hire these wrestlers, these big names, to come on over.
It's kind of done for this show too, because I've noticed I don't get anything anyway. There's listeners, like when people go onto the views and that, I used to get at least about maybe 10 cents. I think was the thing, and now it's dropped down to a low number.
Wow.
I think the last view I had, I think it got about 4 cents.
Wow. I'm surprised you got paid. From what I was told, YouTube would not pay you unless you earned a minimum of 1 million views first.
Well, I haven't got paid. Like, it's got, like, you do have a tally. Like, I haven't been paid, but it's got a tally on there on how much I've earned, and this is over time too. This is about since
you have to get a minimum of $100 before Google will cut a check.
I don't think I've made more than $10.
Well, it doesn't mean like you're doing bad. It just means, I mean, none of us are doing like, I think only Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle and Wrestling Soup could make some money off of YouTube. And even their stuff is put on YouTube.
Solomonster.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of Solomonster.
I am. I like Solomonster.
I want Solo Yuckster. There we go.
There we go.
I tend to more agree, because I find him more fair than anything. Like, he gives stuff with Jason Solomon. He gives stuff a chance, and then shits on it when he doesn't like it. And I can't understand when he shits on it, but then I don't know.
See, I personally believe that Solomonster has been paid off by WWE, and he only says some things against that they're not a fan of.
No, if he was paid off by WWE, it'd be a lot richer, man.
No, that's what. But they'll pay him off to only be somewhat, he'll still talk about a lot of other things, but the big stuff they don't want him to go against.
What's so funny, Papa Dave?
Nothing.
No, please share with the group.
Nothing. Nothing's funny.
Oh, go for it.
I was just amusing
Speak, you
myself.
bastard!
Okay.
I love it when Johnny starts spinning conspiracy theories. I mean,
Look, it's
there's
just,
nobody better at it.
Look, you see Solomonster at a lot of these events. He's backstage with some people. He does a lot of these high-profile things. I honestly think that the guy gets paid for certain companies here or there. I'm not saying he's a WWE employee, but I'm just saying they kick him some dollars, and in exchange, he doesn't talk a lot of shit about some of the biggest controversies here or there.
He was working for Pro Wrestling Sheet at one point, so he was doing work for them, so he was probably getting sent out by them. Now,
true, but I'm betting the company still pays.
Which is why he did his show.
Right, but look at like PWI. People have known for a long time the PWI 500 in the top 10 doesn't matter because it's usually how much a company can pay off for those spots, which is why Roman Reigns was like number 1 like a year or two ago. People have been saying it for how long that PWI 500's now paid off, that WWE will pay off to get these guys in there. Meanwhile, you see someone that's really great that should be like in the top 10, he's number 17.
But that's more generated on the buzz more than the actual...
They go overall how the fans like their wrestling moves, how much they get over. It's like a whole formula that used to be done. Like Dave of all people could speak about that.
But it's more so who's been more newsworthy, and who's been more newsworthy in the last year or so than Roman Reigns, really.
AJ Styles, Kenny Omega, Okada. Let me think. I'm trying to picture guys from SmackDown. I mentioned AJ Styles. Fuck John Cena. I hate to say it. There's a lot. Rusev was up there like 2 years ago. You know, so Roman Reigns, you want to put him like on buzzworthy, but it's supposed to be like on appearance, so to speak, skills, how the crowd treats them, you know, and the fact that Roman Reigns is supposed to be a babyface, but the crowd hates him. I mean, shit, on that logic alone, if we're talking about how, if they properly get over with the fans how they're supposed to be, like a heel gets over as a heel, a face gets over a face, shit, Eric Young would be doing higher than Roman Reigns on that topic alone, because he gets over the way he's supposed to.
That dude was a comedy character for a long while.
But what I'm saying is that he got over the way he was supposed to. Roman Reigns is supposed to get over as a superhero, and everyone goes, "Fuck you, Lex Luthor."
Because I always put that as the most newsworthy thing, because, well, AJ Styles has been newsworthy, but Roman Reigns is more... Well, how many more stories do you hear on Roman Reigns than you do AJ Styles
WWE
in the last
puts
year?
out more stories. The same thing goes with merchandise. Look at Jinder Mahal right now. He's the champion. You can buy 2 pieces of merchandise. Roman Reigns is not holding a single title, and they have like 50 different things alongside John Cena.
True.
You know, think about it. I mean, let's look at. I'm not trying to speak like politics or a lot of other stuff, but newspaper companies, if they get some kind of news article that goes against something of their personal beliefs or their agenda, what do? They either don't publish it or they do, but it's on page 34, section B, column 4. Meanwhile, if it's something they really like, it'll be on page 2, 3, possibly 1. You know, the same thing goes with wrestling. If they want to push Roman Reigns stuff, they will push Roman Reigns stories left and right. You know, Roman Reigns enjoys a cup of tea with his daughter. Roman Reigns likes to go and help plant trees. And then it's like AJ Styles goes and saves someone from a burning building. We'll put that down in the middle of the newsletter.
But the thing with Jason too, because WWE don't like people criticizing them, and well.
You cut out yuck. I mean, Sky. Wow. Oh my God. Fucking brain fart. You guys there? Illuminati controls all. Bow now and worship him. 2-star. Fuck you. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, I stopped the recording, everybody. Let me try to get back in this fucking call.
WWE doesn't. Well, hey, I don't see Jason as something like that.
You guys, I lost the feed before, so I don't know what you started. As soon as you started talking, I lost the feed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. 3, 2, 1. Sorry about that. We lost the feed, everybody. We're good.
Okay. So what I was saying before we lost the feed. Jason doesn't really seem as a person that works for WWE, because he'll shit on it as much as he'll put it over.
Well, but here's the thing I say. I mean, what's the best way to pay someone off and not people know so you can have him go the longest? Have him shit on a bunch of things while praising the stuff you really want him to praise. If some bad news happens about Paige, they don't care if Paige gets buried. Hell, they probably want to bury Paige in some ways. If there's something bad news about, like, Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles, kind of, they'll let that stuff go out. But if it's something about Roman Reigns or John Cena, they may tell them to sway away from it. You let them talk shit about 80% of your content if you want them to push the top 20%.
But Jason shits on Roman Reigns anyway.
Well, possibly so, yeah. But some of the stuff that I've heard here, it sound like stuff kind of like praising WWE, and I just go, I can't get into it. I mean, it was almost as bad as Kevin Castle, because for a while, Kevin Castle, anything that was like stuff WWE really wanted to push, he would praise it, but then he would bury the stuff that we knew WWE didn't give 2 shits about. And it's like, I started, I never thought he was bought off. I thought he was just marking out.
Okay, I'll put something in for this, even though it was an indie segment, but I haven't really got any topics on it. Good and bad for WWE, and I'll go around the whole group. So I'll start with, since we've had Johny, we'll go with Papa Dave.
Yeah,
good and bad about WWE.
Ask me that specific question one more time.
Okay. What is the good and bad about WWE in your opinion?
Where'd he go?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Where
we
you-
can hear you,
Yeah.
Dave.
Okay, I'm here. The Good. The Good is their number one.
Boo.
They're number one. That's the Good. They're the one-eyed king in the land of the blind. They're number one. The Bad. They have all the quality, and I've said that. I've already said this. They have all the qualities of number one. They have all of the technology of number one. They have everything number one needs, not only to be number one, but to be the best. But for some odd reason, while being number one, they've decided we're not going to be the best. Now, I don't know if that's a conscious or unconscious decision. I don't know what the hell's going on. Not being something that I watch on any kind of a basis anybody could call regular, that's what, the reason I don't watch is because I don't see what I like in a pro wrestling show when I watch Raw. That's kind of why I pick and choose what I watch as far as on the pay-per-views, which is why I was excited for Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe. I honest to God thought they were going to let these two big guys get in there and have just a good hell of a match.
Yuck.
Oops.
Oh, sorry. Yuck Nasty, what is your good and bad about WWE?
Wow, I don't like that they split up Cass and Enzo.
But that's the product, but like just overall the company itself.
Oh,
He's on a
my
roll.
bad. I was trying to go with it. I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. Vince needs to go. But, I mean, what's going to happen afterwards, we'll see. I just think that's what turns me off as a fucking, casual fan.
Casual
What
fan.
turns me off is every time I turn it on, it's like Gray Balls of Fire. What the fuck is this? Like, goddamn. And then it's got the dick logo on it, too. And, like, it's just like the same shit. The belts are just being tossed around between the same people right now. And it's just like, ugh. And you can tell, like, it's all, or I can tell because I know history, like you guys do, that it's all Vince's fucking, Vince got his handprints all over that.
Yeah.
It's just, it gets disgusting because it's just like, God damn, man, let the shit go. And I don't know, man, that's what I think the worst. Vince needs to go. Him being involved with every fucking decision is pathetic as fuck.
It's best for business, goddammit.
What about the good?
Fuck, I don't know, dude. I can't say much about good. I can't even speak on the good because all I know is the bad. From my fucking listening to the podcast, all I know is the bad. Like, even what's good, like Braun Strowman is good, but even all I hear about is goddamn the way everything ended or the goddamn how it went down and fucking sucked dick. So it's like, goddamn, you can't even get behind him because of how fucked up they have him with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns just shits on everything like John Cena, used to before too. It's like you can't even get behind a motherfucker without some fucking prick, stupid ass Vince McMahon idea pushing people that nobody wants to see fucks up the guy that we're liking.
Yeah.
And that's something interesting too, because the people that the hardcore fans are over a lot of the shit of WWE, but then if Yuck's thinking this, what are other casual fans thinking of something like this? But we'll go to Johnny with this. What's your good and bad about WWE?
I will be able to be short about this in my mind. We'll
still time it.
Yeah, I know you will. You know what? Actually, let me be fair about that. I'll do that. I'll try to. How's 2 minutes sound?
I'm kidding.
No, but it's only. I take up so much.
Go.
Let me be
It
fucking
doesn't-
disciplined, okay? I rock discipline. Let me be disciplined. Yeah, let's do 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes 3 seconds, just because I want 3 seconds. WWE. The good about WWE is that they have people believing that they are still number one, and people still fall for that. WWE has been number one in terms of business and stuff like that. So they get to be number one because people still believe that shit, you know? If in countries in the Western world and in some other places, many people believe, you know, if I'm going to root for something, I'm going to root for a winner. It goes with politics, it goes with sports, it goes with a lot. You know, you and I talked about it before, Sky. People will root for the conservatives, or what do you guys got, the National Party, the Labour Party, or whatever. They'll root for the top parties because they are the biggest ones, and they don't want to bother with the Australian Greens, let's say. Or in sports, people here in the U.S. will root for, if they're casual for baseball, they'll be like, I'll root for the Yankees. Why? Well, because they're going to win. You know, or if they're like soccer in the UK, I'll root for Manchester United because they're the best, because they feel they're getting the best one. A casual fan, if they don't like it, they'll just say, if I have to go for wrestling, it'll be WWE because they're number one. The bad, and I'll give a great example, something that people don't think about, the belts. The belts look like shit. The belts don't look like they're supposed to be. I know it doesn't sound like something much, but, you know, and I'm timing 40 seconds left. If you look at the TNA women's title, the now Global Force women's title, you may not like the designs outright, but they look like a belt that can make sense for a women's title. You know, you look at the New Japan heavyweight title, it looks like a heavyweight title because it says it. WWE, their world title and their women's titles, it's just their logo screaming at you. They don't look like a world heavyweight title or a world women's title because it's just the logo. Their view is the logo means more, the name means more than the belt. That's why the universal title, meaning WWE Universe, is more important than the world. The only belts that look like they mean what they're supposed to mean is the Intercontinental and the U.S. titles, and those are due for a cleanup at some point. So, and my time ran out, and I'm going to close with the belt. If the belt does not look like it represents what it's supposed to represent, then how can it really be the belt of that? There's a reason we call the tag team titles the Trojan Condoms Tag Team Championship. Or the Trojan Condom Gangbang Tag Team title, because you tag team a girl, so it's a gangbang.
Well, I kind of don't think they should. The United States title needs an upgrade, but not the IC title, because I think to keep titles separate, it just creates a different prestige of them.
Oh, no, I know that, but I'm just saying, you know, they're going to update. They've updated the women's belts, the world belts, the tag team titles are new, and the cruiserweight title's brand new. All of that now is because of for a logo. When a corporate company takes over anything, they'll want to put their logo on it, where they're publicly traded. That if they could and didn't think it would lose viewers, a big giant logo would be on your TV screen each time there's a WWE event, because they want it bigger and badder every time. That's why you see it grow every time, and yeah, but
to me it kind of makes it look bad,
but most companies are smart enough to know we got to make our logo noticeable enough, but not so much that it outdoes. You know, under the logic that they've done with the belts, if they were to do the same thing for TV, you wouldn't see the WWE logo in the bottom right corner. You'd be seeing the WWE logo taking over the entire screen and the matches happening behind it. You know, look at the European title or the WCW US titles as quick examples. Their logos on the belts was small. It had the logo on the very top and then on the top of all the side plates. That was it. Now, WWF took a little more with the European by putting the full name World Wrestling Federation. But, you know, it was still subtle enough. It was there, and you knew it was a WWF belt. But now it's like, you see the belt, the World Heavyweight title says it best. Giant WWE logo. Is there a globe? No. There's nothing on that. But what does it say? Very small underneath, World Heavyweight Champion. Very small. The WWE is the most important part of that, not the World Heavyweight Champion. It's like reading the fine print on a contract. The World Heavyweight Champion is the fine print. Everything else is WWE.
Okay, so I'll give my good and bad on the WWE. I think the good part at the moment is probably the WWE Network, because I think, to me, that's probably the best decision they made, because now you got a cheaper option to watch a pay-per-view. You got easy access, and if you don't like what's currently on TV with Raw and SmackDown, you do have options to watch older content to watch that you can see, like old Nitros, old Raws, old ECW, and stuff like that. The bad thing about WWE, I think, is, like, to Yuck's point, I think they are, for where they are, behind the times. You see a guy like Vince McMahon, who was in his 70s pushing a company to a guy that's in his late 20s to say, hey, this is cool, this is what gets over it in 2017. To me, I think that's kind of stupid when you have an old guy like that trying to push something to me that's cool when, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I know I spoke my mind, so I'll let the other guys say. It's only fair.
Then I'll toss the hot potato to Papa Dave.
Well, fellas, dude, as far as it goes, when I talk to talk about the WWE in a qualified manner, it's something I should probably pay more attention to.
Yeah, correct.
And until they do something spectacular, and I mean fucking spectacular, instead of everybody bitching about the size of Charlotte's nose or the size of Sasha's ass, when I see somebody online actually go, I saw the best fucking match, and I hear they're gonna do something else next week. If you miss this, you're a dumb son of a bitch. If I start seeing that, that means that people are actually tied in to pro wrestling and not sports entertainment personalities. And I know, listen, man, what I say is very old-fashioned sounding. That's because in order to be honest, I've got to come from that place.
Yeah.
But the truth is always the truth. If you can't present pro wrestling the way it's meant to be presented, fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
Yeah.
You want me as a customer? You want me to watch every week? Then give me something to watch.
Yeah.
And I know. Listen, I know my time has passed. I'm not in their 18 to 49 little sweet spot demographic.
But you're the one who gets a discount at the movie theaters.
You're damn skippy. I'd get a discount at the movie theaters.
Do you get discount for nachos as well? Because I would so use that.
10%. By God, 10%.
Give me a bucket of nachos.
So what it basically gets at is I understand, they're not shooting for me anymore. But here's the funny thing. They get more people my age watching Raw on average than the younger people.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing.
But that's an appeal, though, because when you think about it, well, Vince is a 70-year-old guy, but then he could probably push to a guy that's in his 50s, 60s, 70s, older. Well, that's a demographic that Vince McMahon's in.
But that's not what they want. They've been pushing for kids.
Yeah, compared to the rest of it are kids. And well, even the stuff that they say is for kids, I wouldn't watch as a kid.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're trying to push. Is they want people to the 5 to 25 range. Now, the of course goes into the 18 to 49. But I know I talked about it with Dave. What was it? The median age now of a wrestling fan is, what did I say, Dave? 54 or 56?
I think it's 46.
No, it was in the 50s because it
was it?
It was
Okay.
like 2-3 years shy of double of what it used to be. So it was like 28 or 29 of what it used to be, or something like that. But no, they want to get people in the 5 to 25 because they still want younger people from 18 to 25. Here's one thing I wanted to pull up. WWE initially announced the WWE Network in 2011. It didn't launch until 2014. So I pulled up their ratings. In 2011, they got, for the first week of Raw of that year, they got 3.08 rating, which is 450 million. No, not 4.5 million. Wow. Yeah, they wish. 4.5 million people in the United States alone. Their paid subscribers as of April, because they haven't publicly released what the current amounts are now. Their paid subscribers are 1.66 million paid subscribers worldwide. 500,000, 424,000 are international. So it comes out to about 1.2 million paid subscribers on the network in the United States. They have lost. They just went to back down to under 3 million viewers. They went down to 2.8 million average, which means that in that time they have lost 1.7 million viewers, and they have only gained And of that, 1.2 million are paid subscribers to the network. So that's a loss of 500,000, let alone the fact I will still point out that there are people who have the network that don't watch Raw and SmackDown on the network. They still watch it on regular TV. So, and look at Dave. Dave's got the network, but he doesn't watch Raw or SmackDown anymore. So there are people who have the network but don't watch WWE. They want to watch the old school stuff or the Attitude Era or any of the other stuff like the interviews. They don't want to watch Raw or SmackDown. So their viewership has been going down, and it's not close to evening out.
That's pretty much why I watch it, because I want to watch the old stuff instead of all the stuff that's going on current. Yeah, I'll watch an NXT or a 205 here or there, but when I watch it, it's never to watch a Raw SmackDown weekly, unless it's like an old Raw from like the Attitude Era or something like that.
Exactly. So for people that make the argument, well, I mean, they got the network, so that's why. Again, 500,000 people less with in terms of just alone the numbers they have on the network compared to what they used to have watching Raw, and more people there are people who have the network that don't watch Raw or SmackDown on the network. They watch it on regular TV, and then there were those who have the network that don't have that don't watch Raw or SmackDown. Period. So those numbers are even worse. So it's just that the network may have done some good stuff. My personal belief is the network was their way of trying to expand like ESPN and NFL. And at the same time, they every single time with the notifications. Apologies.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But just point out apologies for everybody listening on the download. But what is it? And on live. But they've lost all this. They're trying to get into they're trying to be like ESPN, the NFL, and the MLB. It's not working out as great as they thought. And the other aspect is that it's supposed to be like a safety mark, because when they renew their contract next year with USA Network, it's going to be worth so much less that they're going to be taking a hit, because that's their biggest revenue, is the deal with USA and the advertisement revenue. So if they go so low that they end up losing USA Network or something, I don't see them moving to a different network. I see them moving to their network to make it look like it's that great. They're going to try to take it bad and make it look good, but we're smarter than that.
I don't see them losing USA Network. I see them getting less in USA Network because of the ratings, but them going off completely, I don't see they going full.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to go off of the network next year. They're going to get a lesser valued deal.
They're going to get a lesser deal.
Right.
Easy. Because they're probably going to happen like last time. Like last time they said WWE's worth so much, they went for another deal. They tried to get on other networks, but when they got offered a lot less, when investors found out, WWE took a huge hit in the stock market.
Right. So that's why I'm not saying that they're gonna end up leaving the U.S. Now, depends on how much the value is. They may shop around instead, but I don't think it's going to work. But what I think is the last contract was for 5 years. This next contract will be for 3 years only, and then after that 3 years, depending on how the ratings go, WWE may end up being kicked off USA. It just depends. I honestly think in the next 5 years they'll be getting 1.0 ratings at this rate.
I think they're going to try and push to go for the WWE Network. What they're going to do is they're going to put Raw and SmackDown free for the network. Like it's going.
God damn it. Poor. Not now. Sorry, everybody. Getting them back on the call. This is so stupid. Okay. Hey, I lost the feed again, you guys. So, literally as you started talking, like you mentioned, they'll make Raw and SmackDown free on the network, and then it cut out. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Well, okay. Well, as I was saying before, it got cut off again. What I could see is WWE possibly doing if they lost the USA Network. They would go for free on the WWE Network, like the live stream for Raw and SmackDown will be a live show, but everything else will end up being paid content.
Yeah. Well, there's been talks about that, like doing some things like, maybe like $1 you get Raw and SmackDown. If you pay $3 or $5, maybe you get some pay-per-views or whatever. You pay or like all the pay-per-views without the big four, $10 gets the big four as well, so on and so forth. So,
Because I think it'll be more like we got Netflix now that's got all these channels. I reckon there's going to be more companies for that, because when you have one, you'll have more, and for competition. So pretty much in the next 5 years or so, I think you'll still have TVs, but everything will be subscription.
Yeah, and it's kind of done that in many ways. I mean, look at radio. I don't know how it is in Australia, Sky, and I'm not trying to make it sound like you guys are third world. You're not third world, far from it. But but you guys are much more civilized than us in many ways. But anyway, love your women, by the way. I got a vacation sometime. But seriously, they showed like the top 15 countries that American men can get a woman, and Australia was on the list. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Japan was on there too, so watch out, June. Anyway. We rarely listen to radio anymore. I can't tell you the last time I listened to radio. I listen to podcasts, or I listen to music, and that's it, or audiobooks that I've had downloaded through Audible. But the only time I listen anytime to the radio, Sky, and this is swear, we've got an emergency AM radio station for alerts, weather alerts, missing Amber alerts, which is for missing child, stuff like that. When I'm on the highway, they have these signs with a blinking light. It says, check this station, AM 1060 or whatever it is, for an alert. And I go there and I listen. I find out it's over and say, oh, we got an Amber alert out in Broward County. I go, okay, that's 5 hours from me. No chance of seeing that car. That's it. Other than that, I don't yeah, shut up. That's the only time I listen to the radio. So with podcasting, that's been true. People think television is going to be the same thing. It's going to take a lot longer for that to happen for television, because almost everybody owns a television. And in fact, the only way that Roku and Hulu and everything else is going to outdo television completely is if people stop buying televisions and just get computers. But
to your point on radio, podcasts are killing radio stations by far. And even you got, because only radio I sort of listened to was sort of sort of the O&As and the Sterns and stuff like that, because we can get Sirius XM and that out here. But besides of that, mostly you get like a lot of podcasts and shows, and that's going to be, I reckon that's going to be what kills radio, because radio is an old forum now, and unless they start putting podcasts on radio, they're going to lose a lot of business in the next few years.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys still got Kyle Sanderlands. He's still got his stuff going on.
He's an idiot. Well, no,
you sound like an absolute clown telling this guy to fuck off.
Andy.
What?
Hamish and Andy are probably the two you'd probably like if you like those O&A type shows, but more but a bit more relaxed and actually get along.
Yeah.
You probably check out them. That's probably the show to watch. Everything else is pretty much just meh.
Bollocks. Yeah, but no, and here's the funny part, and we can all clearly see it, is the radio, people get paid a lot of money because of the advertising revenue for these stations or whatever. So people make money. Meanwhile, there are podcasters who have more viewers than radio stations, but radio stations get paid a good amount of money because they're still stationary. They have a full radio station with a network and a system, and etc. It's the same thing that goes with TV networks, like you're saying. There are some TV channels that get so few viewers, but they get revenue from advertisement, so they get paid a good amount of money, whereas Netflix or Hulu, they got to make the money on their own, and finally they get an advertising revenue because people are seeing it. So it's going to take a lot longer than what podcasting did to kill off radio than it will be for Netflix and et cetera, or et al., as they say in legal, to take out television. But it may happen.
Quick question. How long have we got on the Mixlr?
We are at 1 hour and 11 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I gotta hit it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Yeah, because he has to.
Look, if you gotta go hit it with your girlfriend, just say, "Look, I gotta go consensually rape this bitch."
Hey, man, I gotta fucking jump from one to the other, baby.
I'll make sure she does not hear that for $50.
My hero.
Hell yeah, brothers!
Send me that mixer for free, or I'm telling her ass.
Oh, is that what it is? Go ahead and tell her. Let's see if she believes you.
Yeah, I got this shit recorded.
Yeah, let's see if she still believes you after you.
Hey, you're that much of a smooth talker. You're like, baby, look, I know that's my voice, but you're not understanding. I mean, it's just like, and she's like, oh, okay.
I was talking about jumping from one show to another show. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and now we're hearing this explanation as well. You're screwed. Give me that mixer and some of y'all's cheese.
Yeah, you slut. Send me that $20.
Yuck Nasty, the podcast pimp.
That's right, baby. Man, make sure to check out Get in the Corner on Mixlr, on Google it. You know it, baby.
You know it's Christmas time.
Thank you, Sky Genie. I love you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Yuck. And
I'll go ahead and play this other song before I get out here, though. While we
so we got Bonnie Tyler. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we're going to a break and we'll be back after this.
Yeah.
For in-depth discussion and show updates, go to the show's Facebook at the Sky Genie Show page. Do you need a good laugh after the crap you see on Monday Night Raw? Then check out the Don, Tony and Kevin Castle show as they break down Raw and current events in professional wrestling. The Don, Tony, Kevin Castle show, immediately after Raw. Do you need more fruits and vegetables in your diet? Check out juiceplus.com.au today. Juice Plus is the convenient and inexpensive way to add more nutrition to your diet from fruits and vegetables every day. Juice Plus Fruit Blend is made from 7 different fruits. Juice Plus Vegetable Blend is made from 10 different vegetables, grains, plus an array of natural antioxidants, phytochemicals, and fiber in a convenient capsule form. Each ingredient is especially selected to provide you with a wide range of nutritional benefits. We call it next best thing to fruits and vegetables. Check out juiceplus.com.au today. Looking for a good wrestling podcast for Sundays? Because let's face it, who isn't bored on a Sunday, but also wants to have that lazy day? Then check out the Solomonster Sounds off. He breaks down everything that in the week that was professional wrestling. Also check out his Facebook page where there's numerous discussions on the topics of professional wrestling. Solomonster Sounds Off drops every Sunday on Podbean. For those wanting to follow me on Twitter, it's at SDD916. Check it out.
And alright, we are back.
Whoa, hang on. I'm hearing double.
So am I. Not now.
Okay, somebody must.
I'm not either.
Yeah, somebody must have had their.
Probably is Yuck on.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Mixlr?
Let me just double check. Yuck is out of the call, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope everybody liked that song. You know, Sky Genie said, pick a song to play when we can use for a break. I said, fuck it, let's take it to the max. You know?
So, well, that was going to be the outro, and Yuck didn't get one. So.
Oh, that's okay. I'll pick it.
Okay.
Okay.
I got one. Animal, fuck like a beast.
Aww.
That's gone.
I was gonna pick something that truly sounds yuckish.
Well, I was gonna give something for June. I mean, he would probably like that song pretty well, but either way.
Well, I was gonna pick that country song, "Dear Penis, I Don't Like You Anymore."
Dear penis. Well, I got an idea. Let's put it to a vote. Okay. We got June here. June, are you still in the chat?
Yeah, we got. Awesome. So, are we gonna get a shade of vote for yay or nay or no?
I got an idea. We'll let June decide. Animal, fuck like a beast by wasp, or your song.
Oh, come on, we know June's gonna be like, how about I pick option C? I want to rape you.
Wait a minute, you got a Wasp song queued up?
I do.
Shit. I mean, I'm one man, one vote. I understand that.
You were out for the music talk, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was otherwise occupied in the ethosphere somewhere.
Okay, so we'll go back a bit because we still got a lot of time, don't we?
Oh yeah, we still got exactly according to the Mixlr 1 hour 3 minutes. So the question is, are we going to use all?
1 hour 3 minutes. Wow. Okay. Well, well, we're about to go into TNA GFW, but we'll go into a bit of music or what.
Okay, so we're going to use all the time. Good.
I don't know if this will go to full 3 hours, but either way. So what music did you more get into when you were growing up in the day, Papa Dave?
Well, now, I heard you guys talking about radio. And, of course, when I was a kid, radio was king. Everything you heard, you pretty much heard on radio. But I had, I was fortunate in the regard that I came from a family that, though none of us are musicians, everybody loved music. And everybody bought music. From my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles. Everybody listened to music. So at my house, my mom had, and this is no bullshit, Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, shit like that.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra. So I got that. And when I would go, say, to my grandma's house, and my aunt would be playing her blues and 60s soul, and I'd hear Sam and Dave and the old Stax Volt stuff. My uncles would be playing Hank Williams and Hank Snow. And so when I was a kid, I just had all this stuff coming in. And, then I started to listen to the radio for myself and would hear guys like the Steve Miller Band and the band that I mentioned, Blue Cheer. And I really got into rock and roll. And I guess from like 10 or 11 years old, I just, if it's good, I'll listen to it. I love all kinds of stuff. And if it's good music that can kind of reach out through whatever you're listening to, your headphones or your radio or your earbuds or whatever, if it can just reach out a little bit and affect you in some way, and it doesn't have to be some deep spiritual, I Need a Hero song by Bonnie Tyler. Hell, it can be I Ran by a Flock of Seagulls.
That you're talking about the country of Iran.
If it means something to you, then it's great music, and that's that's what I learned, that if it's good to you, then it's probably good. Even if it's bad, it's good.
See, the mess up part then is for every single one of us soldiers. Once, if you ask someone like, "What's a song that makes you feel proud to be a soldier?" Die, motherfucker, die. Because they had us play that every single time when we had like combatives or Nick at Night, or if we had to do like live fire training on the what do you call it, oh my God, the Humvees, with the 249 and the 240.
Oh, because with me growing up, because I got into music because of my sister. My sister was she was in the Silverchair. Have you ever heard the band Silverchair?
Yeah, sure have.
Yeah, well, that's the first sort of band I got into, when you had your Freak and Anthem Year 2000. And after that, I started getting into a lot of music. I did, because a friend of mine, he was into rap, and I used to go over there and used to do what Yuck Nasty did. Now, I was never any good at it, and obviously a typical white boy, even in Australia, couldn't rap for shit, but we had fun. But it's around the time when the movie 8 Mile came out for Eminem, and that Stan song. That's where I started getting out of rap and more into sort of rock and metal, more so the 80s than more than nowadays. And I don't know, it was a bit weird for that. Like a lot of bands, I've gone to see shows, a million shows, and yeah. So musically, I'm pretty weird with music. So I'll pick a song. I might not like the artist, but I'll like the song, type thing.
Yeah, I can dig that.
Hello?
All right.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
Yeah, we hear you the whole time, so.
Okay. So we'll move on to TNA and Global Force Wrestling.
Yeah.
Now,
tits and ass and Global
the
Force.
the meat and the potatoes. Now, there'll be particularly two sides of GFW TNA going on, but Johnny Florida, your 45 minutes begins.
Wait, what?
You're on, John.
I'm being careful because there's certain things you don't want to do, and you don't want to set this dragon loose.
I'm obviously kidding, by the way.
You sick bastard! Don't you toy with me like that.
Yeah, we don't really want your dragon loose.
That's like trying to put out pancakes for a hungry kid and then take it away and be like, I didn't really want you to eat.
Well, wet pants. Either way,
I said pancakes, not pants.
I think they let the dragon loose, but don't worry.
He's not sorry.
No. So TNA GFW. Well, it's kind of an interesting debate because you have two schools of thought. If you think about it, or three, if you want to know. There'll be people that absolutely love it, and there'll be people that absolutely hate it. There'll be a few in the middle that might just like it but have an opinion or stuff like that, but it's very few in between. You either love it or hate it. Johnny Florida, who is a big fan of the company, so you go on with that.
Well, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I can't. It's a little tough. Give me something to start with. What do you want? Like topic, question?
I guess overall, okay. When did you start watching?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, go on.
Yeah.
That's the next one, and that way I can try to remember it in my head.
When did you start watching? The good and the bad, pretty much like with WWE, the good and the bad,
Sure.
And yeah, you'll probably be a little bit more passionate in it than I will, but you go for. That's why I let you go first.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll try to keep this short. And I said try, everybody. Well, I started following online probably about, 2003 or 2004 something, and they were, at this point they had Impact, and they were on the Fox Sports Net, which were getting like 0.3 ratings while they were on. So I was watching from that, and seeing them with the six-sided ring was cool. I bought 2 of TNA's pay-per-views when they did their shows on Wednesdays, because they did the weekly show on Wednesdays and it was pay-per-view. The first one I bought, I can't remember the other one, but the first ever pay-per-view was the first ever Victory Road, so I remember that. But in terms of regular pay-per-view, but in terms of the weekly pay-per-view, I can't remember one of them, but the other one was when Ken Shamrock returned, and it looked like that he was going to go and face off against Jeff Jarrett, but then turned out that he was actually siding with Jeff Jarrett. So this was, I can't remember what year, maybe it was 04 or 05. And I started following TNA from that point, and it was great to see an alternative to WWE, but I was still a diehard WWE fan at that point. Now, quick background, I started as a WCW fan, everybody. The goods...
Okay. I was about to say, Papa Dave, for you, when you started watching, and... so pretty much the same question, I guess.
Well, now I'm kind of like Johnny. I caught it. I caught the very tail end of when they were doing the weekly pay-per-views, and I may have caught the last 2 or 3. And I learned they were going to Fox Sports, and that I could get Fox Sports with my cable system. And in fact, I already got it. I just never watched it. I started watching them really when they came to television. And the thing that hooked me was when they really started to push the X Division.
Yeah.
I thought the X Division was exciting. It was fresh. I mean, I liked the cruiserweights. I've always been one of my favorite guys is Brian Pillman, who was definitely...
Shit. Hang on.
Johnny's not on. Oh, he's back.
Yep.
Okay.
I lost you right at when you talked about Brian Pillman. Okay. We're back on recording. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, well, Pillman was always one of my favorites. I not just because he had a unique personality, but because he could do exciting things in the ring. So when I saw the X Division and their focus was on the smaller guys and more athletic maneuvers and just good matches, I thought, well, hell, this is good stuff. This is really, and that hooked me in. That hooked me in enough to at least follow whatever else they were doing. And on and off over the years, wherever they would kind of, mosey to, between Fox Sports and Spike TV, I'd always check in because they always had good stuff going.
Okay, so I'll go with my history. I actually started watching it at the beginning, but it's a bit different because when we got TNA, we lost SmackDown because SmackDown lost a contract with the channel over here. We got TNA, but it was the pay-per-view, but it was cut down into hour-long shows, so it'll be just like an hour or so, and it'll probably be the same episode for about 6 weeks.
That's great to hear that WWE SmackDown was canceled and TNA takes over. That's just awesome.
But it was during the time you had all the Benoits, the Guerreros, the Angles, like all their matches, like the SmackDown 6. That's the time I lost it. And I was so mad that I missed that because I love watching that stuff. And one of my favorite matches is Survivor Series 2002 is a triangle tag match with their Minute. That was probably one of my favorite matches of all time. But anyway, but that's where we lost it. Then we got TNA, and it was a condensed hour show. So you got bits of one show this week, and it'll be the one show, but it could be over 6 weeks. After a while, we lost it because it didn't catch on here in Australia. It didn't come back to about 2006 with pay-per-view when we got the pay-per-views, not Impact, but the pay-per-views. I think the first one we got back, it was the one where Kurt Angle, no, it was Christian Cage. I think he was facing Abyss in a ladder match.
Okay.
In a TLC match. And I think that was the first one we got back, and I was watching it casually through that, and then when it came to TV in 2008, by that point, TNA had probably its best run was in that, and after that, it kind of went from there to pretty much to now, really. So,
all right.
Okay. So now we'll go into so when I went to about 2008. I think it was just about to build Samoa Joe. It was just before Samoa Joe won the world title.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So during that period of time, but what I thought was always good was the X Division, like Papa Dave said, was the X Division, and at that point it was probably the hottest thing in the wrestling business was the X Division. Everybody was talking about it. People were hoping for guys like Rey Mysterio to quit WWE and go to TNA for the X Division and stuff like that, and then when they started focusing on the heavyweights, I think that's where TNA kind of lost its edge, in my view. So when do you think TNA, before it went down, started losing its edge?
Dave? Oh boy, did we lose Dave on the call?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. All right. I would say I remember right after, and here again, the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe big pay-per-view deal. It just seemed like everything kind of just went slow after that. I can't confess that around that time I was a weekly watcher, but I was a regular watcher. I would always, because I didn't watch WWE. It wasn't my promotion. It what they had really didn't entice me. So when I wanted to watch wrestling, I could always find Impact or TNA. And it seemed around that time that everything just kind of slowed down. I don't know what happened with the direction or whatever, but everything just kind of slowed down for me. And I'm not going to say I lost interest, because I would tune back in every now and then.
Yeah.
But just right after that, it all just kind of went soft. And it didn't hold my interest as intently as it had before.
Now, was it like a specific part of like the storyline, or was it like just overall, or was it?
Oh, it was an overall deal. To me, it was just an overall deal. It was less exciting.
Yeah. See, for me,
so, I missed a bit of that. Sorry, because I had to call out and come back.
No problem. We got the feed the whole going, so we're covered.
Okay, so to catch up, whereabouts were you up to, Papa Dave? Sorry.
Yeah, and having kind of lost interest in it. It just didn't seem to have the momentum right after the Angle Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match and the big blow off in the cage. And I just I like I said, I would still tune in from time to time because I didn't watch WWE. It's never been a deal for me. It's never been an issue as to, if two shows were on, should I watch WWF or WWE? No. It was never an issue. I just watched the other thing. And
Yep.
Yeah, we lost him. I'll hang up the call. I'll call back. Sorry, everybody. Dave. Davey. Can't hear you, Dave. Okay, I had him in, but the connection dropped. We lost Dave on the connection, so we'll have to try to get him back. I'm trying to call him back, but he probably lost connection or something.
Alright.
So, let me just, well, he was basically finishing up his answer, I guess, so we'll try to get him back. I'll give my answer, and hopefully he'll be back in the call. Okay, going live in 3, 2. Alright, yeah, we lost Dave, everybody, sorry. You can blame me on that one, Sky. It's not your fault.
Oh, no, the whole day, I think it's just been like that. Papa Dave, you back?
Yeah.
There we go.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where were we?
We were at Dave losing his fucking mind and blaming Zuckerberg for these phone calls.
Yeah, technology, you gotta love it, don't you?
No, you don't.
No, you see, and that's just it, man. I love technology. I think that this age we live in is marvelous.
He wants a sex robot, that's why he's saying that.
It's just not all it's cracked up to be. The young lions that seem to be coming up with the iPhone 6 and 7 and all these young brains, they're not really innovators. They're just they're addition specialists. Nobody's really had a great innovation in the last 20 years. It's just a whole bunch of add-ons. So, that's what you get when you get stuff like the bullshit with Google Chrome and Facebook. It's not new technology. It's a bunch of tacked-on crap.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, if you Johnny, tell me to shut up because I'll just keep going. I'll watch.
I like this. So I'm going to let you get loose.
Anyway, back to TNA. We were up to. I think we're back to Johnny. Your thoughts?
For me,
where it started to decline.
Help us out, Johnny.
Me, I've still been loyal through thick and thin. I have had no problem, and I've said it on the show many times. I've had no problems criticizing for times. Although I criticize other people for their criticisms at times because there are some things that just doesn't make sense, and I'll get to that. But for me, when Hogan and Bischoff came in, I was like, I was indifferent. Like how people have been indifferent about Jinder Mahal's push. I was indifferent to the idea of Hogan and Bischoff because I thought, okay, big names. This is probably going to help business-wise, so I'll understand that. But for show-wise, I was like, okay, I'm not for it. Now, when they came in and they were trying to restart the NWO a little bit, the band. I was like, okay, I'm open-minded to it, maybe. Sure, that could get some buzz. It'll be some fun. Hogan's indifferent, so it's going to be X-Pac, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and then later on Eric Young. This is good, okay. But now the only thing I liked about all these guys coming in was the Nasty Boys. When the Nasty Boys came in, I thought, okay, this is good. You're going to get a famous, legendary tag team. It's going to help. That's going to be in there probably for a few months. They're going to help build up some of the tag teams, get them some support and stuff like that. Not going over all the time. They let these guys get over and help them get big. I thought this is good. When they got, and I know Dave's going to know this, when they got rid of the six-sided ring for the goddamn regular ring, I was pissed. Because at that point I saw the decline, because now they were truly becoming WWE 2.0 or WCW. You know, they brought out, and I know Dave remembers this. Dave, you remember when TNA brought out the elevated ramp? Like old WCW, the elevated ramp where it's even the entire way walking to the ring?
Yeah, I remember when they did that.
When they did that, if they kept the hexagon, I was like, okay, this is a bit of an old school feel. WWE doesn't do this. I don't remember WWE ever doing it. I like that. Okay. But to do the four-sided ring, I thought was bad. Because now they are just trying to outright be WWE or WCW, and I didn't like that. Hogan does not understand. Hogan's a lot like Vince McMahon in that they don't understand that you can push cruiserweights, the X Division. Now, for everybody listening, the X Division, of course, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. That's why you had Samoa Joe as champion. I got that, and they did great with it. But overall, there was mostly cruiserweights, and they don't know how to push those guys. Hogan does not like those guys. So it was becoming a decline at that point. And I know people were leaving because it's like, now they're just turning to WWE. TNA was supposed to be an alternative. You know, back in Dave's days, you watched a Fed, and it's not that you saw a Fed as an alternative to your Fed. You were like, great, I got more wrestling to enjoy. I will watch World Class. I will watch Houston. I will watch Southwest. I will watch Amarillo if I've got the connection, you know? But instead, it's not those days anymore. You got few people that they'll watch WWE and TNA or whatever else, you know? They see it as an alternative. And that's what they see it as, you know. Now it's an alternative, and that's what TNA was supposed to have been, an alternative at that point. It wasn't supposed to be, and this is where I'm ending it. It wasn't supposed to be the same as WWE or just more. I mean, you could have more, and that was great, but it was supposed to be an alternative as well.
Well, because we'll get to TNA or GFW now.
Right, meow?
Well,
right, meow. Meow.
Right now. Now. One thing a bit of criticism, because when I was watching the relaunch of it, they brought in someone like Alberto Del Rio to be the guy, to be the figurehead, when that should have been EC3. And my criticism of TNA was that they would bring WWE guys in, but they would never use them to put over the TNA talent. Like the first pay-per-view should have been EC3, not Del Rio.
Well,
here.
Yeah, but I was open to them bringing Alberto because, you know,
I don't mind being Alberto. Like if Alberto Del Rio was in the main event, that's fine, but it should have been with EC3, putting him over to make him the focal point. Whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, doesn't matter.
Well, which is why I was thinking that. What I was feeling that they were going to do was they would have the feud between Alberto and Lashley, and then it was going to lead to Alberto and EC3 for him to get over and go from there. That's what I thought they were going to be doing with it, which I like that. You bring in this guy, and people, one thing I don't like is that people say, you know, Alberto's just another WWE wash-up. And, you know, like, they're just pushing another WWE guy. The only reason why I have a problem with that is because it under the logic now of many people, and I'm not saying you guys are part of it unless you say you're part of it. And I know Dave's not part of it because he's not for the Evil Empire. But just because someone wrestles in WWE does not make them a WWE guy. Now, Alberto just left WWE, but
let's just see. EC3 to me was never. He was a WWE guy, but he was never a star. Well, Del Rio was a star. There's a big difference between the two. That's just why.
Okay, but if Shinsuke Nakamura left WWE right now and went to TNA, is he going to be seen as a WWE guy? He was a New Japan guy the longest time. Alberto Del Rio spent a total of, I think, 4 or 5 years in WWE. Not even enough to get a vesting like a normal government company over here. His time was elsewhere. He's been CMLL World Champion, AAA World Champion, so those are the two biggest titles, well, Mega Champion. Those are the two biggest titles of the two biggest feds in Mexico. And he held the World Heavyweight title in the WWL, which is the second biggest fed in Puerto Rico. People don't bother to follow Puerto Rican wrestling. Alberto held belts all over there. He is seen as a WWE guy because he was a star and held the title in WWE. I got that, but he's more than that. I'm not trying to stand up for Alberto. I'm just saying in general. People saw EC3 as a WWE washout because they got rid of him in NXT, and yet TNA was able to see the good in him. Christian Cage, same thing. He was a WWE star, yes, and he had a lot of time in WWE, but he goes to TNA, and they see and utilize him the way fans see him as. So there are cases where, they take a guy, but it's, no one ever says that because someone was in TNA, a New Japan, that they go big in WWE and they go, oh, well, that's because he's a New Japan guy or a TNA guy, which someone's going to say, well, it's because WWE is number one. But that's not fair to say just because someone was in WWE that they are automatically a WWE guy. Alberto was born, bred, and raised in Mexican wrestling in AAA and CMLL, and because of how good he was, being the son of Dos Caras, being the nephew of Mil Mascaras, and being a world champion in CMLL, they brought him to WWE and gave him his own name, and yes, continued pushing him as a star.
Hey, but he didn't. Dory didn't really become a star till WWE though. Okay, yes, he had this. He worked in Mexico and stuff like that, but then for a worldwide stage, it wasn't until WWE he got.
And fair point,
somewhere.
But he wasn't. Yeah. But at the same time, he only got hired by WWE and pushed and didn't hold a single title, other than going up for the world title, and it's all that happened because he was a big name in CMLL. I think
the other part was because of Mil Mascaras too, because Mil Mascaras has years been a guy that worked for WWE a lot in the 60s and 70s, so he would probably be a good reason why Del Rio got into WWE in the first place, not so much Mexico.
I'll take a look, but I don't believe Mil Mascaras did much for WWE. Let me see.
Well, he never did much anyway, because Mil Mascaras was more of a guy that you would see like a one. Okay. It was like what Andre the Giant.
Here we go. He had a short feud in the 70s with Billy Graham over the title, but he was.
But he was more of a guy. I think Papa Dave could answer this too, because Mil Mascaras you probably see him once or twice a year, and he'll be out in somewhere else. He was never actually in one territory for too long, other than Mexico.
Dave?
No, that's very true. I mean, Mil Mascaras was definitely, when I was a kid, he was a special attraction. To get to see Mil or any of the other masked luchadors at that time was a big deal. He'd come to Houston maybe 2-3 at the height of his popularity, and when he could be booked, I'm guessing at this, he might come 4 times a year. So something like that. But when you think about Mexico and you think about CMLL and later on AAA, to be a star in Mexico doesn't mean you're just a star in Mexico if you're the number one guy. You're a star all over Latin America. You're a star in some very big markets in South America. And in a few select markets in Europe, you're a star.
Yeah.
Wherever Univision or whoever is pushing the TV can get their wrestling show to a Spanish-speaking audience, they were going to do it. So, whatever the Mexican national networks, whoever was carrying wrestling, it went in the Spanish-speaking world. That went everywhere. So a guy who was a star in Mexico was also a star, on another continent. So, I mean, to say that Alberto Del Rio wasn't known isn't quite true. He was pretty well known, and he was a huge star in Latin America.
Yeah.
WWE knocked him up to an American audience, and enabled him to become an American star.
Yeah.
Which, in our minds, and this is kind of what gets to me from time to time, that if in order to be somebody, you got to be somebody on WWE Raw or SmackDown, because if you're not somebody there, then you're not really somebody.
Right, and I can't stand that.
That's poor thinking. That's limited thinking, as far as I'm concerned, because what you're doing is you're limiting yourself to an idea without more open-mindedness.
Yeah, that's why.
And one more thing, and that was the great thing about being a fan when I was younger, is, not only could you be open-minded, but you could find more stuff to be open-minded too. World Class might have their TV show syndicated. You had TBS and World Championship Wrestling. And there might be another show or two. Hell, I remember there used to be, and I don't even know if this is still a promotion or not, but All Jersey or New Jersey, or there was a big promotion in Jersey.
Yeah,
Jersey
Jersey.
No, Jersey All Pro, JAP.
I remember when they had syndicated TV, and their number one babyface was Kevin Von Erich. And I watched them because their number one babyface was Kevin Von Erich.
Yeah.
So, we not only did we have variety, but we had the resources and outlets at the beginning to start watching those things. And because of YouTube and the internet and all the devices and all this wonderful stuff, we have a world of wrestling. And to focus and concentrate on the Evil Empire because they have the prettiest TV picture sometimes does a disservice to the rest of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is a big name in Canada, and I think he did some stuff in Japan, and he was known because of his time in Ring of Honor. Prince Devitt was an Irish wrestler that went over to Japan and got big. He was the hottest wrestler out there that was not in WWE. People wanted to get him. I'm trying to think who's the recent champions that we've had. There was someone else. They've had guys that made
Seth Rollins.
No. I'm trying to think of non-WWE, like guys that were big outside. They've had guys. Austin Aries. No. Seth Rollins was. Seth Rollins, I'll admit, he happened to get big because of WWE. He was a hot name because of his time in CZW. He was there for Wrestling Society X for
and Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but Tyler Black wasn't a household name. Kevin Steen was becoming a household name, and Prince Devitt was a household name. WWE gets these guys because they're household names elsewhere. That's why they hired Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles. That's the name I was trying to think of. I can't believe I forgot that. He made big in TNA, and it's because he went to New that they picked him up. But these guys built and bred their names and became world famous. Yes, Alberto happened to become world famous because he went to WWE. But if Dos Caras Jr. went to TNA, went to New Japan, All Japan maybe, Ring of Honor, he would have gotten his name out there. It would have been a different name because he would have continued probably as the name of Dos Caras Jr., but he would have got his name out there. It just happens to be that he went to WWE and got his name out there and became more famous. Yes, WWE got him famous, but he would have gone elsewhere and it would have happened. Rob Van Dam was world famous because of his time with ECW.
Yeah, so my point with Del Rio though, because I'll never say that nobody should work for any company because that's just stupid. I think his star power should be used to get EC3 over, not so much to push for that agenda, because it's like EC3, like, to him I think he's the money, but he's still not the level he should be. Sorry.
Well, that's why what you do is you take someone like Alberto, who's a big name, have him become the world champion like they did, and then what you do is you end up doing a double turn, because EC3 is a heel right now. What you do is you take Alberto, make him champion, have him build up and solidify his spot as Global Force champion, which that's not going to happen anymore now because of what he's done, supposedly, allegedly. Build him up. This is talking about if Orlando never happened. You solidify him for about 2-3 months. You let him solidify as truly being the Global Force champion, and then out of nowhere, a double turn. He just attacks EC3, does all this, and it gets to the point where it builds up to where now you build up and spend some time, and it all culminates eventually at not Victory Road, Bound for Glory. Because they just had Slammiversary. Bound for Glory happens in October. So if everything was going good, Alberto would face off and have the championship, and then you start the feud in September, and you get to where EC3 gets a match and loses because of some trickery by Alberto or whatever, and build it up like that, and then it culminates eventually at Bound for Glory with EC3 getting over him at the biggest pay-per-view of the year for GFW, and you got yourself the champion. He solidified himself as the EC 3-time world champion. So that's what you do. They've done that with a lot of guys. I mean, Jeff Hardy, he was Intercontinental Champion, and before they groomed him up, and I'm talking like in 07 or whatever, or 08, they started grooming him up to eventually become the champion. So what did they do? They put the IC title on him and had him tag a lot and work with Triple H, who was WWE Champion. And they were
Jeff Hardy, he had to go over because he is easily, at the time, he was probably the most popular guy.
Right.
One of the most popular guys in the company.
Right, and that's what they were doing. But what I'm saying is that they had him work with Triple H and groomed him up to it, to where they could make sure he could be the torchbearer. Because you got to remember, Sky, it's not just being who the people want as champion. It's also, can the person handle? Hang. Right. Now, when you're a heel, it's a lot easier because you can deal with the hate, you could deal with the animosity, and just do it off. The Rock's a great example of that, But when you're trying to be a babyface, you can mess up as a heel and just blow it off and just treat it like, fuck you. I'll mess up. I'll do something if I want to or something like that. You could take some time with some things. You have a little bit of wiggle room. When you're the babyface, everything must be to perfection, and you got to please the fans properly. They groomed Jeff Hardy by having him work with Triple H to make sure he was ready, and then that's when they finally had him beat Triple H and Vladimir Kozlov in the triple threat to win the title for the first time. They had him groomed that way. They could do the same thing with EC3. They're going to pass the torch on to EC3 and not just be yes, someone's going to say he's already been world champion, but to be the true face of the company and to really be the mainstream, like the real torchbearer. Have him build up against a former, 7-time world champion between CMLL, WWL, AAA, and WWE. Now 8-time champion. And he grooms up and takes him over, and now, by him dominating Alberto, he could truly be the torch bearer, not just the champion, but actually the one holding the torch. So you gotta do that sometimes with somebody. Have him face off against a colossal, because like Dave could say, and this is where I'll shut up. Dave, I mean, if you look back to some of your guys who built up in Houston wrestling or in Texas, sometimes it may not. Some of those guys, it may not have worked if they didn't get over on a Von Erich or some of the big names down there. It wouldn't have worked if they didn't get over on Terry Funk. If they got over somebody else, but if you put them over against a household name, then it could be believable, right?
Well, yeah. More times than not, if all you need to do is cut a good enough promo to get the crowd that's watching TV or listening or wherever they're doing it, all you got to do is get the crowd pissed off, get the people watching TV pissed off, and the whole thing was to let's get to this big match.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be in the Sportatorium or maybe it's going to be at Christmas Star Wars or July 4th Star Wars or in Reunion Arena or the big show at Texas Stadium. Everything built to something. Everything was going somewhere. I want to give you an example of something. I thought this was a few years ago. Remember when EC3 was the hot heel in Impact Wrestling? The number one hot heel. He was the biggest thing in the company. Anybody recall that?
Yes.
When was that again?
And I was before that, because when at the time there was a lot of factions in the company trying to take over TNA and over and over. That's part of the reason why I stopped watching, because that's all the storyline was. Hey, a big evil faction come over to take over TNA, to the point I just went, why the fuck would I want TNA in the first place? But yeah, out of all of them, EC3 was the only one that wasn't yet fucked with. He was probably the most overstar and probably the biggest star that they could have coming after AJ Styles.
Which faction was this again? Fortune?
How many of them? There was a million of them.
No, but which faction you guys that was just brought up? I kind of had a blank spot.
All of them.
No, but what Dave? Which one did you bring up?
Well, it wasn't so much a faction in the regard that I just remember how over EC3 was. I mean,
yeah.
he's one of those heels that even in what they call the quote-unquote modern era of this evolution of wrestling, and again, I'm using air quotes on both of those phrases, he was the guy who got legitimate heat when they were in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
He drew people back to television next week. And here was the funny thing. I kind of started listening to podcasts around this time as a general rule on a regular basis. So I would be sampling this one and that one, and I'd hear Meltzer say, well, I hate TNA, but I love EC3. He's sure over. And then Wade Keller would say the same thing. And then Alvarez would say, yeah, sometimes TNA is shit, but that EC3 is over. So obviously they were set up with the number one guy, and they've had this guy, and it's ever since that point he's just kind of been floating in the company. He's never gotten bigger. He's never gotten really. His star hasn't diminished a lot, but he hasn't become the star he should be.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. That what I'm saying with Del Rey in the last pay-per-view should have been, the focus should have been on EC3. To maybe if you want, I don't know if he had to, well, probably win or lose, but if he was in that main event, to me that's where that's the star they should have, because EC3 is easily probably the best guy in that company.
Yeah, well, that's why that's what I was saying. Think about what they had. Slammiversary is their SummerSlam. It's about 5-6 months, 5-6 months of a separate. From Bound for Glory, just like SummerSlam is with WrestleMania. Wow, I'm having some fucking memory problems. Anyway, who did they have him face in a match? James Storm, one of the biggest names of TNA that going back to the beginning. James Storm is an original. My money, like I was saying, they were probably grooming him up for that. You have him face off against one of the biggest names ever in TNA, one of the guys who made big in TNA, the guy who became famous because of TNA, and we're talking about James Storm. You have him face off against James Storm. Alberto wins the belt. He builds up a big storyline, doing stuff, dominating himself, and then it goes to the biggest pay-per-view of the year for TNA, Bound for Glory, EC3 versus Alberto Patron. You got in 1 year you have him face off, and at the two biggest pay-per-views of the year, he defeats one of the TNA originals and one of the most loyal and biggest names to come from TNA, being James Storm, and then you have him against the guy who was big everywhere he went, comes over and takes over the place in Global Force Wrestling, and then he gets dominated by EC3. I honestly believe that it was going to be EC3 and Alberto at Bound for Glory for the exact reason. The reason why it's treated as a little different, I could see for your point, Sky, is because Slammiversary was treated as the restart, the reset, the refresh, because this is where TNA and Impact Wrestling and everything was completely gone, and everything was Global Force by the end of the night. So because of that, Slammiversary is seen more of as the Bound for Glory because of that reason. But people got to remember that it's still the second pay-per-view of the year in terms of number one behind Bound for Glory. So you see it less of the yes, it's a refresh, but more of now we're going to go to Bound for Glory, and then this is where EC3 could be seen. Because it's the refresh and the reset, it's seen a little different. But that will help get over for EC3 by the fact of him having gone. They're going to have to pick somebody else now. So they pick another big name to take over, and he will become, and then that guy can become the powerhouse that EC3 faces off. It can't be Lashley. They've done it enough times. So we'll see what they got planned. Maybe Abyss. I don't know. He just got Father Mitchell again, so have him turn heel.
And that's because we'll move on to that. It ended up being final deletion match, didn't it?
Kind of. It was awesome.
The one thing about it, like, okay, it got Abyss, it got James Mitchell, got all Scott Steiner and that, but who did that benefit though?
Everybody, dude. You gotta have a. Sometimes you gotta have a pay-per-view match that is just fun and awesome, and it does things. It was a. Dave could say it was a nostalgia.
Also, too. Okay, well, again, we're going on for a relaunch. To me, that should have been done for somebody new to get over. So they should have. One of these new guys they got in. They could have used them in the match to get them over. Yes, they could have done all the silly shit, but to get them over with the silly shit, and just to have a point, because where they're doing it, if it was just another pay-per-view, fine, that's great. But where they kind of just doing it on a relaunch, if you're relaunching, you want to.
God damn it!
No offense to Scott Steiner. No offense to Scott Steiner, but he's 50 years old.
Okay.
No offense to Abyss, but
then
he's
what
past
about?
his prime.
Okay, but then here's what I say then, Sky. What about the final deletion itself? Who did that benefit? The Hardys are in their 40s now, both of them. You know, at the time of it happened, Jeff Hardy was 39. So I mean, they weren't new guys. Someone could say, well, they're still pushing, right? But so was Abyss still pushing. Scott Steiner was brought in for nostalgia. I don't think that there was really anybody that they could use. You couldn't book Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards in something like this. You couldn't book. You couldn't book. God, maybe Reno Scum. Reno Scum, okay, they could have fit in with this. But God damn these notifications, and I can't get out of these groups. I'm not able to. And I can't close out Facebook because I'm on the Facebook chat with you guys. But what is it? There's only so many people that could have worked. Scott Steiner was brought in for nostalgia and him doing some of the goofy stuff, you know, in the Range Rover. Yeah, keep running, you fat asses. It's like it was just funny. You know, you got the stupid feud between Josh Matthews and Jeremy Borash, which was a pun off of the JBL incident. You know,
and it didn't even end.
Well,
because
it kind of ended.
The stipulation was for the loser was going to leave the broadcast, and they're still doing broadcasting. I don't
really think it was supposed to be them leaving. I know that there was the other stuff beforehand, but I think it was probably like to end the feud and let them be mutual with each other. But, you know, with Abyss, you know, Joseph Park, when he does his Joseph Park, it's kind of funny. He can do a little goofy stuff because he's like an everyday lawyer or a CPA or whatever that gets involved in stuff. And they brought back Abyss. So here's what it benefited. It was able to solidify bringing back Abyss. Because after Crazy Steve leaving, and now they have Rosemary go on her own, how could you bring back Abyss properly without it looking crazy? You have him go as Joseph Park, get beaten down, and it has to cause the father, the pallbearer of Abyss, being the sinister minister Father James Mitchell, to return, holding the mask. And then just a spot moment, it was a spot monkey moment of having them in the pool, and Sharkboy comes out. What it benefited was it helped solidify bringing back Sharkboy if they keep using him. It helped a real return from Abyss without him just being like, okay, I've lost my group, what now? Because now he's got back his manager. And a real return in a way, even though it was only a short time gone. And it was a nostalgia and notoriety kind of match. You know, God damn these notifications. Swear to God, I'm going to quit these groups and just say, fuck y'all, I quit.
I'm about to end in a minute, so yeah, go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's what I got. And, you know, Dave, you know, you give your comment for this, but there's so few people that kind of could have worked. You know, nobody has the kind of gimmick, the goofiness that could add the goofiness and it looks good. Like, you could barely do any of that with EC3. I'm not saying you want EC3, but I'm just saying his kind of style wouldn't work. Reno Scum would probably be the only ones. Dave and Sky.
Okay, now the only thing I can think of is a quick test, and this is going to be really quick, and I'm going to ask both of you this question. Whoever answers first is first, and the next one second, and that's how we're going to work it. Who's the number one star or stars in right now? It's we have to start calling it Global Force. So, who is the number one star or stars?
EC3,
in Global Force right now?
Alberto before they take away from him, and LAX.
Okay. Sky.
Del Rio and EC3, Bobby Lashley.
Both of you are wrong. The number one star right now
is you.
In Global Force Wrestling is Jeff Jarrett. He's the guy that gets talked about more than anybody else. He's the guy that gets more press than anybody else. And as soon as he gets out of the papers and out of the internet headlines and in the back where he and Dutch belong, booking the shows, nobody else is going to hit the number one spot.
There's also Karen Jarrett. Let's not forget that one.
Yeah,
with her saggy ass out all the day.
Yeah, Karen keeps coming on the shows. Jeff, he came the first time since he's been back has been at Slammiversary, but Jeff tries to stay out of it, and he gets blamed for all this shit with Ed Nordholm. Which, I just want to say one quick thing, and I'm not trying to take over your show, Sky, I apologize, but one quick thing.
Go for it.
Why is it, with this whole Broken lawsuit going on, why is it that people are going off on Global Force, Jeff Jarrett, and Ed Nordholm going, fuck, I want to see Broken Matt in WWE. Why are they... And now people are going to say, well, because we want to see that. But here's my question. Why is it that there's all this buildup and hate against Anthem, which, yes, should not have happened in my mind. Personally, they should not have done that after first getting off, just taking over the company. But why is it that people are doing all this rage to Jeff Jarrett, to Ed Nordholm, and to Global Force overall for the Broken gimmick when WWE does this shit all the damn time? Few people talk about Cody Rhodes not being allowed to use the name that his father made famous, the Rhodes name. People never talk about Damian Sandow, the fact that he had to become Aaron Stevens or Aaron Rex once leaving WWE. People never talk about WWE when they do this shit. People ridiculed Ryback for him fighting for that name or whatever, so he had to change his name to Ryback Reeves. You know, people, but it's like, now someone's going to say, well, that's because they're number one. You can't fight the number one. So that doesn't mean that because Adolf Hitler did his stuff and was taking over Europe, that the king of Spain, that Winston Churchill and the puppets of Vichy France had to bow down to him. The Philippe Pétain and the leaders of Vichy realized we're going to lose our country if we don't at least play puppets, so they did what they had to do. Spain stayed out of it, and Winston Churchill said, "Fuck you, we will never surrender," and he goes to war with him. You know, because Hitler was the big name in the place, or Stalin. Stalin we let get away with because we didn't want another war, but Hitler we said fuck you. So why is it that because WWE gets away with it because they're number one, but anybody else that does the exact same thing, blasphemy for them for doing it that one time?
I can answer that with a reason, but it won't be a full reason. But what I think it was, it falls on Dixie Carter. Nobody thought to copyright it. Now,
they did. The trademarks all belong to Anthem.
Yeah. Now, but beforehand, it wasn't copyrighted. None of that stuff was. All of that stuff was pretty much made up on the fly.
Okay.
And so both Anthem and the Hardys decided that they decided they owned it without owning it. I think it was a fuck up on Dixie Carter because if she bought the thing in the first place, because she's probably talked both sides of her ass. She probably said she copyrights it, but Matt and Jeff own it. She's done stuff to make people happy. That's all she's done. So if Matt and Jeff were to leave, but they probably didn't think they would.
Well, yeah, but at the same time,
that's where it falls down. I put that on Dixie Carter more than anybody, and I think she's the reason why there's so much of an issue because. Now they ask who owns it. Well, Anthem own it now, but beforehand they didn't. And I think it was that time it was a race to see who has the most money to get it first.
Well, yes and no, because there's the one loophole. People always look at trademarks and copyrights and patents, and I'm one of them. I'll say that. But there's always something that we all forget, and that I try to remember if it's there and we find out about it. Intellectual property. There is a trademark, that means it's copyright. It's registered by the government recognizing it, but there's also legal documents. If Michael Jackson abused a kid and then does a payout and a non-disclosure agreement with the parents, you know, paying this kind of money, and makes a legal agreement saying that they cannot say about the stuff, yes, it's like, okay, they're covering up a crime, but then at the same time, if they outright say what happens and the government goes afterwards, then the messed up part is that Michael Jackson is able to sue those parents, which is what happened, to get the money back, because the agreement was they get paid for silence, which is seen as illegal, but at the same time, they can get the money back and sue, and it's happened many times in this country. The contract that the Hardys had stated that TNA Entertainment held all intellectual property, which means it's a way of a company to save money. And WWE has not trademarked all names, but there were wrestlers where a name has not been trademarked, but they have intellectual property. So a wrestler leaves a company and uses a different name. TNA had, under the Hardys contract, state that they hold intellectual property for anything that's made up and utilized during their time. And the Hardys, mostly Rebby, can't get grips with the fact that that's what happened, which is why Matt Hardy made the trademark for Broken Matt Hardy, and then Global Force or Anthem went and got the trademark for Broken Matt. You take a look right now at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Both of them are registered right now, or at least trademarked, so to speak, and are waiting for final registration. And then they have the other stuff.
But there's the issue, because when you register for the name, if you still over a certain amount of time, say it's probably a 3-month thing, they have to pay in that 3 months. Now Dixie Carter,
you have to pay
she could very beginning. Well, she could have registered it at one point, but between that time it lapsed and she had not paid it. That means it's still free reign. Yes, they have intellectual property of what they see on the TV, but if someone else came and bought it from them, and they failed to realize that, then they'll own the broken gimmick.
Yeah, but
so
it was never trademarked is the thing, Sky. The Hardys trademarked earlier this year as well, and that's why companies do intellectual property requirements in their contracts, so that way, because it costs about $500-$600 per trademark in the United States now. They just raise the fees. So companies do this intellectual property agreement, so that way, if a wrestler does that or anybody in any business, they can't. The person can't trademark. If they try to trademark, the trademark will be given to them. That's why Anthem made the other trademarks for Vanguard 1, Broken Brilliance, and Brother Nero, and because now everybody knows about the legal argument going on, the only way that the USPTO would approve it, now they also do open for opposition, but it seemed to have been successful, is because for Anthem, is because they have the contract stating it, and the USPTO had to recognize. The same things happened for other cases. I just had an example in my head, and I lost it, is for intellectual property.
I do have one example. One was Don Tony. He has told the story numerous times if you've listened to going back. Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Todd Gordon let the rights fees go out.
Right.
Not willingly.
Well, willingly. He didn't try to get it back.
He bought it. Don Tony bought it. Told Todd Gordon, "Hey, I got the rights fees. Do you want this back?" And after he tried to sue him, Don Tony sold it to WWE, and so...
See, no. That's a J.P. Morgan move. What that was is it's not that it was... Todd Gordon had no rights to it. See, I brought this example up on my show as well. J.P. Morgan, the famous banker, he was working with Thomas Edison for direct current electricity. Nikola Tesla was a protege, left Edison, and made his alternating current, or AC, famous with George Westinghouse. J.P. Morgan said that he was going to sue Westinghouse for copyright infringement, or trademark or patent infringement, whatever. George Westinghouse knew he'd win the court case, but J.P. Morgan had the money, and Westinghouse couldn't afford the legal case, so he just gave the rights over to J.P. Morgan. Todd Gordon was strong-arming Don Tony. He knew Don Tony would have the right because Todd Gordon let it lapse, but Don Tony didn't have the money to go to court to fight Todd Gordon, so he just said, fuck it. That's all it was. Todd Gordon had no rights, but he knew that he had enough money to threaten Don Tony that because of court cases and everything, that Don Tony wouldn't have the money for legal fees. So that's all it was. Todd Gordon had no rights to it. He just knew Don Tony would have to either spend enough money to either fight and keep it and be broke, or abandon it, and then that way nobody else could benefit from it. And to this day, that's what happened. The trademark was abandoned, and nobody owns the rights to ECW Eastern Championship. Todd Gordon hasn't even gotten it back.
He will never get it back now. So I guess we'll end on this. For you and Papa Dave, where do you see wrestling in 5 years? I'll go with Papa Dave first.
Oh, sure.
I see a couple of these, what they're calling right now the super indies, rising. I don't know if they're going to rise to be a major threat, but I see a couple of these guys, and Johnny and I pretty much dedicated a show to this here a week or so ago, with Dave Marquez and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood now being on, how many outlets is it on in the CW and the CW's...
Plus. Yeah, they were on
Yeah.
over 111 new TV stations. I don't know if that includes any of the ones they already had, which encompasses about 11% of households across the country.
So there's a big move by a guy interested in actually growing his company and moving kind of up that pro wrestling TV show ladder. In 5 years, I see a couple of those guys, and I don't know how challenged Raw, SmackDown, or whatever is going to be. But from what I see right now, I'm very encouraged by the very simple fact that there are some guys out there who are finally figuring out what TV can do.
Yeah.
It's not just put your show on TV. It's actually have a strategy and a plan. From what I've read about Dave Marquez, he actually has a strategy for this.
Yep.
So for me, that's exciting. And if it keeps up in 5 years, good pro wrestling on TV, and hopefully if it's on TV, it eventually comes to an arena near you, just gets better and better. I'm always optimistic that good pro wrestling is always going to find its way.
So, Johnny.
I kind of echo with Dave. You know, for the longest time we've had just WWE with TNA in the background. Now we're at a point where Ring of Honor is being taken serious. Their numbers are low, but we got to remember they've got a relationship with CMLL in Mexico, Revolution Pro in England, and New Japan. And they got all four of those feds doing Ring of Honor's first ever War of the Worlds outside the United States. They've had it many times, but this is outside the U.S. 4 feds in England. And so that's going to be building up for Ring of Honor. CZW's had their championship belt defended in over 30 countries. It is a true world championship belt. Fuck, WWE hasn't even had their championship belt defended in a dozen countries in the last decade, I'd say.
Not true, because they go on house shows, they defend it.
Yeah, but mostly the world champion is mostly in tag team matches or non-title matches. So the only places so far have been Japan, Canada, England, maybe Mexico, and Australia. But so we're having to quickly name off some places. CZW had their damn title defended in Saudi Arabia, and I lived in the Middle East. It is hard to get content like Combat Zone over in a very strict country like Saudi Arabia. But what I'm saying at least is CZW, they built it up. They're part of the United Wrestling Network, which Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's the main fed. Dave Marquez made a post, and this is unclassified, speaking in terms of sensitive info, because he made a post about it. After pushing and getting CWF Hollywood on the CW Plus, his next pushes now are to get localized Northeast TV networks for CZW and Capital Wrestling, which is a fed based in Jersey. So he's trying to cover the map with all these feds, from Main Event Pro in Dave's backyard to CZW, and he's now got Pro Wrestling 01, which is a big Japanese fed, behind him as well in the UWN. WWE's ratings, and I'm sorry for taking up the time, but here's what I could say. TNA will still be around. People keep saying they're going to die. No, they're not. Now they got a good company that's got a lot of income in terms of Anthem. They'll be fine. They're probably going to be back on Spike TV in another year or two, hopefully, because they're on in the UK. And they're beating WWE again, by the way, in the UK. And they beat WWE in India. That's why WWE did the whole push in India. They need to get back on more networks. Hopefully they can get on TVNZ Duke for New Zealand, because Jeff Jarrett made that deal for Global Force.
Oh, we don't get it here either.
Right, yeah, they lost that, so I'm hoping they get it back. They're in 5 countries right now. Hopefully they can keep pushing. What do you get this? WWE loses on average 0.4 in the ratings in the United States every year. I made a prediction earlier this year, and Dave could vouch for it, that they will hit 1.7 by the end of the year. That was my prediction. They have hit 1.75 twice this year, and we've still got 5.5 months to go. So odds are that it's going to hit 1.7 by the end of this year. I predict WWE is going to be hitting the 1.0s in 5 years. I honestly believe that, because of the way they're going. they'll be stuck with a core group, but their rating's going to go so low that as long as they get another 5-year contract with the USA Network, we're going to see ratings in a 1.0 before they finally just say we're going to the WWE Network and do everything there. People their numbers on the WWE Network, but it's nowhere near the amount of people they've been losing. So I am an honest believer that that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying WWE's going to be going under. They'll still be around, but their rating's going to be so low that people will have to finally admit. Jeff Daniel made that video, Dave. You remember the one he did where he talked about, people saying like, why is America the greatest country in the planet? And he goes off and says, America has to face facts. We're not the greatest country in the planet anymore. People need to do. I'm not trying to get political, but what I'm just saying is that a similar video needs to be made for WWE to admit WWE is not the greatest fed in the planet anymore. They're far from it. People are leaving in droves, and the more people that leave, the more people that see it and believe that it's not the best in the world anymore, and they're going to leave. When one person leaves, a second person may leave. When a second person leaves, the third and fourth may leave. When the third and fourth may leave, 5 through 8, and so on and so forth. The more people that leave, the more people that happens. So New Japan's invading the United States. They're coming in to take over, but they also, in Japan, they work with other feds. And this is where I'm going to stop, and I apologize. In Japan, let's name all the big feds. Pro Wrestling 01, New Japan, All Japan, Big Japan, DDT Pro. That's not the biggest, but it's there, and it's good. And Pro Wrestling Noah. That's 5.5 big feds, because DDT's halfway. 5 to 5.5 big pros in Japan.
Does Hustle still go?
What?
Hustle
shut down. Hustle shut down.
That shut down? Okay.
Yeah. I remember looking up for the Dudley Boys because they held the titles. You got all those feds. Japan doesn't try to take out its competition. It likes to work, and it loves competition because it builds from it and gets bigger because of that. New Japan coming to the United States, they're not going to take out Global Force. They're not going to take out Ring of Honor. They're working with both of them. They have agreements with both of them. So they're going to want competition to stay around. And now with the UWN building up everywhere it's doing, WWE's around, TNA Global Force Wrestling is around, Ring of Honor is around, New Japan's coming in, and hopefully to God, Billy Corgan unveils something big with the NWA. Lucha Underground supposedly going under since AAA pulled its ownership, so people don't even know it's going to last anymore, so we'll see what happens. A lot of those guys are probably going to jump to the NWA or the UWN, to be honest. So we will see. This next year is going to be a defining period to see what happens. Whatever Billy pulls, what New Japan pulls, the plans for Lucha Underground, and so on. This is going to be a defining year for everything not WWE, other than their ratings keep going down. That's where I'm ending it. I'm sorry for taking up that much time.
Yeah, alright. So as far as what I think, honestly, I think wrestling is going to be a lot different. It's obviously going to be different in 5 years. I think WWE is going to be in for a big change, and I don't think it's going to be a bad one. I kind of see something happening up top with management. Vince McMahon, some reason I don't see going to be in top for long.
He's going to die.
Maybe. Just the way, I don't know, this weird vibe I get, like, something has to change. It's either Vince going away, or dying, or something happening where Triple H takes over and sticks him in a home. Something.
His home's still the size of a mansion.
As far as the independents, I think they're going to be where they are now, but they're going to be more accessible. As I say, with the internet that grows, and you got all these Netflix and all these other things that I reckon are going to come up through that. That's where I think you're going to see a lot of your wrestling is more on that. With your fight apps and stuff like that, I think that's all going to grow.
Yep.
Into bigger venues. That's where you'll see your wrestling. The only company that I see right now that might struggle is Ring of Honor, only because for the last year or so they've had their talent rated. Unless they have some sort of youth movement, they're going to be pretty stagnant. But besides that,
I could quickly say just one point. More and more people are saying they don't want to go to WWE. Dalton Castle decided not to go to WWE. You've got the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega not wanting to go to WWE. You got other wrestlers that say they want to stay in Japan and do what they're doing. Kenny Omega's contract lapsed with New Japan. He goes, you know what, I'm staying. It's like I said, one leaves, two leaves.
But he did weigh the option. He did weigh the option though of going to WWE.
Honestly,
he wasn't against it.
Honestly, Kenny Omega was not going to go. The whole reason why he decided to make it look like he was weighing was so that New Japan would give him a bigger contract. That's my honest belief. That's what many people believe. So for Ring of Honor,
I think too, not just a bigger contract, but to see what's going to happen to him. And since then, he's had that match with Okada and won the United States Championship. If Kenny Omega is going to be a world champion, at least hopefully by Wrestle Kingdom, I could see him staying. If he doesn't, that's where I see he goes.
Tell you, Kenny Omega has a house in Japan. He's staying where he is. He's not. I don't see him going to WWE. And I honestly, like you said it, they took, and I'm sorry for holding you up, they took a lot of the Ring of Honor guys this time, and you're very much true on that. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, they got them, Adam Cole, so they got all these guys, but this was probably the last of the talent steals or the talent grabs that WWE will get out of Ring of Honor. They may get one or two guys here or there that grow, but for the most part, I think Ring of Honor is going to keep growing. Now they get their War of the Worlds. If they can expand and get more TV exposure and possibly in other countries or whatever, is Ring of Honor on in Australia?
No.
Okay.
No.
If they can try to get some TV deals, I bet New Japan could pull some deals. And that's one of the other things with these relationships that happen is that you can also help and get assistance with trying to get a local TV deal in a different network. That's why I'm saying, Global Force with all the relationships that they've got, thanks to Jeff Jarrett, hopefully work those and get some TV content elsewhere, like back on Germany and Australia. But this is probably the last of the star grabs, the big ones that WWE's going to get out of Ring of Honor. This is the end for them. Now wrestlers going to
you know where they're going to go next? UK. UK is at the moment the hottest scene, whether you like UK wrestling or not. UK wrestling is the hottest scene, the hottest act.
Yeah.
They have the best wrestlers at the moment, and New Japan had its resurgence, but at the moment it's at a decrease. But with the UK scene, there's so much going on. There's everything going on, and that's where I think the money is at the moment. And in the next 5 years, the UK scene is going to get a lot more popular. This is only the beginning for the UK scene.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you completely. But I want you to take a look online when you get some chance and look at the reviews of what happened for the WWE UK. A lot of disgruntledness by Fed owners and even wrestlers because they signed a contract with WWE to be part of the UK brand that they're supposed to build up. And because they flopped with that whole thing, a lot of the wrestlers cannot get work. The WWE pays them a small amount of money as standby, and only guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate get to wrestle on NXT, and every so often the rest of them do one or two matches throughout a season. The rest, all those guys, they got to wrestle in the other feds in the UK to make ends meet, and now they can't wrestle in some of the big feds because WWE doesn't want those because they signed a contract. Any of the feds that have a TV deal or some kind of internet TV deal, they can't get that exposure. Pete Dunne is wrestling for ICW with the UK title on the line. Now, why is that happening? Because WWE's allowing it because since ICW has internet and TV distribution, it's going to expose the UK title much more in Scotland and elsewhere. So that's the only reason why they're doing that. They're not letting the rest of the wrestlers. They got to go for smaller feds to make money, and they can't get paid the kind of money that they should be getting to make ends meet. So they got to go to smaller feds like RPW, British Heritage Wrestling, SEPW, which I'm not knocking any of them, but none of them are Progress or ICW. They all want to aspire to be Progress or ICW one day, and they know that, and they love that. But because of that, they can't make like 1,000 pounds a show. They got to make maybe 200 pounds a show. And these guys now it's done a lot of harm. So a lot of UK wrestlers are wary about signing any deal with WWE because of that. They're going to wait until if the UK Fed brand takes off, they're going to wait for it to take off and get fully foundationed and stability before they sign a contract.
Okay, so with that, I might start wrapping up.
Yeah.
So we'll go with plugs for your show.
Dave, you want to say some of the plugs? Because I talk too much, and it's only fair.
Yeah, we are called Wrestling's National Committee. Our website is it WNC
Show.
WNCshow.com. Check out our website. One of our great things is our support of and mutual them supporting us of some great indie feds, not only around the country now, but around the world. We have, 18 feds right now, John? 19? 17?
We just, yeah.
We're moving. Well, let me put it this way. We're moving on up.
Yeah.
Is what we're doing. We've got these feds. We have our Wrestling's National Committee has breaking news on Sunday. The show that I'm on, Independent Throwbacks, is on Tuesday. We all participate in the Super Party After Wrestling Soup on Thursday nights.
I've been there.
I think we're also starting up something a little new here pretty quick.
Yeah.
With the Who's Jobbing Who guys, and they're going to be having a show as well. So we've got a lot of things going on. Check us out on Twitter, WNC for Life, the number 4 LYFE. If you need further explanation on that, John's got a marvelous one. We're on Facebook at Wrestling's National Committee. Man, everywhere you want to go and find good wrestling and good entertainment content, and just if you want to have a good time, come to Wrestling's National Committee. Stay here for Sky Genie. We're having a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you. Big shout out to Yuck Nasty.
Get in the corner.
You can follow him on Mixlr at 8:30 on Wednesday. That's for use. That's where he's on, Wednesday at 8:30?
9:30, right, Dave?
9:30.
8:30 my time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I try to, because I have to work out time zones with use. And also Yuck Nasty on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 9:30 Eastern Standard Time of the United States. So, and our Sunday shows is 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Tuesdays is 10 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, right after SmackDown. Right after
Exactly.
SmackDown. And then Thursday's Wrestling Soup, and we're trying to pull up something with the jobbers, Who's Jobbing Who, since, thanks to the debacle that happened with their main guy, we've inherited them, and we got a new show going for them. If I may, Sky, I want to give a little breaking news. Because I laughed when Dave asked. We had 18 wrestling feds that we were in relationships with, 17 in the United States from 14 different states, and 1 from England. We're now up to 19, and you're literally getting the first scoop. I haven't made a show about it. I haven't made a post about it. Not yet. I was going to wait until Sunday or Tuesday. We are now in a relationship with 3XW out of Des Moines, Iowa. You can check them out at facebook.com/3X Wrestling. So that's what it literally, you just type in or Facebook search 3X Wrestling. And they're out of Des Moines, Iowa. They got some great guys out there. Iowa is a state that people always forget about, but Dave could tell you, if you look at the map of wrestling, Iowa was always like right there because they're not far from St. Louis. They're not far from Indianapolis for Dick the Bruiser with the WWA. The only thing separating is Illinois. They're not far from Chicago, so when they had their own thing, and they were deep in AWA territory. So Iowa is rich when it comes to wrestling history, right, Dave?
Exactly.
It's a crossroads like what Dave said Houston was, the crossroads between California to Florida. That's what Iowa was for the northern states. So glad to have 3XW on our side.
Okay. For the Sky Genie Show, I'll put a bit of news in for this as well. I'd like to thank both Johny and Papa Dave and Yuck for coming on for live. One thing I want to do more live shows, but obviously I'm not ready for that yet. What I want to do, though, is...
I'll help you out.
There's one thing I want to do is do like a rotation sort of show thing. So 1 week I have you on, another week I have Yuck on, then 1 week I have Papa Dave on, 1 week and I have Joe Blow on, like something like that, instead of a proper co-host, because obviously my last co-host didn't work out. Shout out happy birthday to Tough Love, by the way.
All right, a lot more Australian politics is coming. I'm going to talk so much about Turnbull.
That's what I want to do with this show. Sort of do more live, but and do like separate. Say 1 week I'll have you or somebody else on, something a little bit different each time. But I'll talk to you and Yuck and everybody about that.
Sounds good.
At another time. But check out skygenieshow.weebly.com. That's our website. Facebook, it's the Sky Genie Show page. There I pretty much update anything with news and whatever. Twitter, it's at SDD916. They follow me on Twitter and pretty much the same thing.
Hey,
thank you all for listening.
Before
and
we
I'll
go off,
catch you later.
I'm sorry. Here's a little breaking news comment for you. Because you use the genie as the Sky Genie logo, what do you think about Will Smith being confirmed to be the new genie for the next Aladdin movie?
I haven't read about that. I saw that on Facebook, but I don't know yet.
Is he the voice?
It's supposedly going to be the voice because it's supposed to be another animated movie. People think maybe it's going to be live action, which is going to be worse. So because they can't, it's going to be hard to paint him blue. But more importantly, what do you guys think about? Because we've still got a couple minutes left I could see on here. What do you guys think about the Will Smith replacing rest in peace Robin Williams as the genie?
Can't do it. So nothing against Will Smith. Can't follow. That's my opinion. And Papa Dave.
Well, no, nobody can follow Robin Williams. I mean, nobody. But I mean, I think he can carve his own niche out. I have no problem, given that the over 49 demographic thumbs up.
But as I say, it's nothing against Will Smith. It's just how I feel. He just can't be topped. Like it's something like that. When you watch a movie and they do a sequel, and it's some other guy doing the acting or voicing, it's just not the same, is it?
Yeah. All I can say to it, Will Smith's been on a lot of good stuff, but the only thing I can say, I'm going to take a quote from Papa Dave. Fuck the evil empire.
Well, either way, we'd like to thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time. See you later.
Any music?
Yuck was doing that.